Transition back.
All right.
Welcome back, guys. So we've started yet again, so now we should be good for the rest of the remainder of the tournament. So, players are shuffling up their decks, are sideboarding as well. I mean, I basically know everything about Blue-White Norse Descending deck because I've played it for the last 2 years. What cards is Patrick looking to put into the deck against the control deck?
So let's have a little look. It doesn't seem like there's that much that's that useful, to be honest. From what I'm looking at the lists here, we have you can have a Pithing Needle maybe to stop Narset, but that's not even that great because the passive is the problem for you, or the passive has an insane impact on the games. Otherwise, you have Nature's Claim doesn't really do anything. Vexing Bauble, I guess it stops Solitudes.
I think if I can see, I do have some other lists up as well. I do see some of them run Thief of Existence.
Yeah, Thief of Existence, I guess you bring in
well
just to take out the Narset.
As well as the Wastscape Battle Mage. I think that can get rid of a non-creep. No, it's just target artifact.
Artifact or enchantment, yeah.
Yeah, no, it doesn't do anything. So it's just a Thief of Existence, most likely. As well as a copy of, some people run copies of Unholy Heat.
Yeah, but overall quite a poor selection. I see a list here which has Thought Not Seer, so if you have something like that, you might bring it in, or you would bring it in. Boseiju, if an extra copy, I guess you can bring in, since there's some. But I mean, okay, it's really only Guy Reach Sanitarium you need to take care of. But it doesn't seem like there's that much that's very useful for this matchup. But what about Days Undoing deck? You said you.
Yeah, I mean, going back, I think Kratos is playing the list I've played before, not the current one I'm playing. So he should have a couple of Wrath of the Skies, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe some wear and tears. I think he just wants to take care of Urza Saga as well as just the swords. For everything else, he should be good, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
Or maybe he's just... I do usually see the list playing 1 or 2 Supreme Verdicts. I think these will come in as well.
Right.
Other
because
than
we saw in the first game, the sort of intermediate plan of Patrick, if he's not comboing, is just beating up Jagosh with some random Eldrazi creatures. So yeah, just having a Wrath in there to clean up the Writhing Krithos and a Brute Scale, which are attacking, is just good.
Yeah.
Overall, it looked like Jagosh wasn't in much trouble that game, but then Patrick also didn't really do much besides make a 3/3 Brute Scale and attack a few times. So yeah.
Yeah, and Gregors did actually wheel into a really decent hand. So
yeah,
I think that's the same thing he wants to assemble now. It's just the same part.
Absolutely.
Is that an Oust in his hand?
Oh, that would be.
That would be a blast from the past.
From ancient history, really. I've not seen an Oust.
If it is an Oust, I do.
Many a moon.
I do approve of it.
Yeah. Oust is put target creature into its owner's library second from the top, and its control agains 3 life.
Yeah,
All-star from Rise of the Eldrazi, which at this point is literally 15 years ago. So I don't know if it actually was, but that would be quite cool.
I mean, what we could also see is usually if you're a control player, you play 1 or 2 copies of Stony Silence. I'm not sure if it's good enough in this matchup, but it does stop the blade from being equipped.
It stops the blade from being equipped. It stops Spring Leaf Drum. I mean, it's not super high impact, but I guess you probably are happy enough to take out the combo. And it's not that an easy permanent for Patrick to get rid of. I guess Boseiju kills it, which is a bit awkward. But we see Patrick now leading with Urza Saga, which we didn't see at all. From him last game, which obviously is one of the best ways to attack a control deck, is this land, which makes creatures and just can't be interacted with, really.
So the bubble just net a force negation. Obviously needs to, because otherwise your only interaction creature-wise is blocked.
Yeah. Notably, though, with the Urza Saga, by playing it on turn 1, you do miss out on the first construct, which is maybe not so great for you in this matchup, where because you do want to take whatever free value you can get, unless this one is the land
Is,
which you can
is it
spend.
a Drowsy Temple, maybe?
That would probably make sense for it to be.
Well,
I'm sorry, I don't know exactly all the special arts that exist nowadays. I'll have a look at that.
I'm checking this one out. Let me
Okay,
just see.
all good.
Yeah, it's an Eldrazi Temple.
Eldrazi Temple, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's some card which lets you activate lands for 2 mana, so that would let you to make a construct. But yeah, here we are missing out on it.
You mean the Sunken Citadel?
Yeah. In fact, no, you just actually miss out on all the constructs, right? Yeah, because you can't play the land before this dies. That was kind of sad in that regard.
I think at this point it's not about this. Also, I think that's a Stony Silence that hit the field, or a Rest in Peace. I think Rest in Peace shuts off the combo as well.
Yeah, that's true, because the combo requires a creature to die. The blade specifically says die, and obviously Rest in Peace stops that by making sure things get exiled instead of dying. Another bauble comes into play off the Urza Saga.
Most
You
likely,
do kind of wonder whether you should have waited a turn by playing the Saga, but we'll see.
I think most likely the Vexing Bauble is one of main board and one of sideboard, most likely.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Boseiju gets played as a land, which also feels kind of sad given that there's a Stony Sands you'd probably want to get rid of in play. The mana floating there was from the Saga, which, floated a mana before it was sacrificed to its chapter ability. We see the Blade,
card is the Blade,
which gets taken, interestingly, over a Boseiju, because the Boseiju clearly would have been able to get rid of the Stony Silence. Aha, okay. So here's the Thief Resistance that you said.
Yeah. So now what Patrick's trying to do is trying to get rid of this the Rest in Peace, so the combo will work, so that next turn he can set up the combo.
Yeah. So now he has he's shuffled his way through some interaction and has the Blade in hand, and nothing stopping the combo anymore. Now we just need to see whether he has the Brute Scale, and also I guess it does require some mana to kickstart the whole thing.
And he passes.
Did he miss his land drop, Paprykarz? Or
No. He did play the Steam Vent untapped. I think maybe just trying to, I don't know. So
that is interesting. This Steam Vent untapped, yeah.
Yeah,
yes, because he didn't have the second blue because one of the lands is Sky Reach. That's fair. But he didn't activate the Sky Reach because he didn't want to run into Kozilek's command.
So now, basically, if Patrick had it, Grzegorz wouldn't have any interaction with it, because Bauble shuts off pretty much everything.
Mm-hmm. Although he still wouldn't have been able to straight up go up, because you need 5 mana just to kickstart from 0, I think, right?
Yeah, but remember, we do have a temple which does.
My bad. Yeah, you're right.
Pay for activated abilities as well.
Yeah, does it? Yeah, I guess it does.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, then it would work. You're right.
It would have been exactly if there was a Brute Scale alongside the Blade.
Good point. Well made. Meanwhile, also Grzegorz falling low to just the random beatdowns.
Yeah, but what we know now is Patrick's only card in hand. I mean, it's probably not a Brute Scale, otherwise he would have gone for it. So it must be something else.
Mm-hmm. So there's the Wrath of the Kais. So he does have access to this.
Wrath, yeah. So it's a Wrath for 1. Okay.
Just takes out the Blade.
I think maybe Grzegorz is just having a Consign to Memory up, seeing this.
Mm-hmm. That would be a sensible read. I guess he had Spell Snare in the previous game as well, so perhaps it could be that as well. But
going down to 5, so
yeah, he took so much damage from his lands this game. He fetched shocked like 3 times, right? Because the Thief is only 2/4. It's been attacking a few times, but not enough to put Grzegorz to 5. There's a second Blade.
There's a second Blade. I mean, if you had a Consign to Memory, I think you would snap counter, yeah.
Mhm.
because it's not getting better. Because in game 1 you saw so many Cabin of Souls, you just want to counter whatever else is there.
It is sort of slightly interesting though, right? Because you are facing this 2/4. What if they play like Glaring Fresh Raker now? It might be better to have the counter for that than the Blade, which doesn't do anything at this point. Like, obviously, yeah, it's a super threatening card, and you do need to get rid of it. But it's a bit more of a choice than it might seem, I think.
Yeah, I can see that. Although now he's holding up 5 mana, so could be playing a Solitude end of turn.
Yeah, well, he's just eating this mana now.
And he gets to draw.
He gets to draw a card, I think, right?
Yeah, and Steve gets to go to exile.
He does. Yeah, there goes the card. Okay, so this is Grzegorz obviously stabilizing now, and he gets to. Well, I guess if there's nothing big here, which looks like there's something quite big, yeah?
That's a big one.
As things go.
It's a nice card. Hello, good sir. I would like to take your turn. Thank you.
Okay. So, yeah, the fetch land just gets activated to have a quick browse through Grzegorz deck. Nice to see as well how sideboarding happened and stuff. Now your question is, what do you do? I mean, you can just throw it away. No, Prismatic Ending you can't cast on stuff like push, right? You actually have to.
Yeah, no. I mean, you could basically play Teferi, bounce.
Yeah, you go to.
Wait.
Teferi, no, because you have 6 mana.
Yeah, no. Basically, you can play Teferi, attack with Solitude, eat to the Emrakul, bounce the Emrakul, draw a card, and then if it's a land which does a 3rd mana color, just exile your own Teferi.
Yeah. I mean, that's a gamble you can take. It might be good to do anyway because you like maybe the recast of Emrakul will be good anyway, or you can just. Yeah. Plus, you get some control. I guess you can also loot away the Teferi with Gaia Reach Sanitarium. There's actually quite a few choices here.
I mean, I don't think you want to do that, but I mean, what if the card which you draw is better than Teferi?
Yeah, I mean, but okay. Also, what if you draw not a land and a card that's good, and then there's a Teferi in play? You have I guess your Emrakul in hand is still going to be something that's going to be helpful. They're not going to be able. If you like worst case scenario, I guess you go to Teferi, bounce Emrakul, and they draw consign off it, and then you're like, okay.
Yeah, fair enough. But then at that point,
okay.
Consult the star charts.
Okay, so he did activate Gaia Reach instead, which is a bit safer because. Well, I don't know if safer. Because, well, yes, if it's a better card, at least you get to discard it rather than them just having access to it with Teferi. And now he's consulting for 5 to find some land, I guess. Fetch land, ideally. Yeah, looks like there's one. That seems to be mostly lands, actually. There's a Days Undoing and 4 lands. Yeah.
I mean, I just have to check that you need to take a card, so...
You do have to take a card, I think.
Yeah, it does.
Because it's face down, yeah. Oh, he played a land maybe already this turn, so he could never get to 6? I'm not sure.
No, I think... No, he actually didn't play land. I mean...
Okay, so he can...
Patrick didn't play
I thought
land
at the very beginning... I thought at the very beginning he had fetched empty.
Did he?
Yeah, I think at the very beginning...
No, he did fetch empty, sorry, my bad.
Yeah, I also missed that at the end. So basically, yeah, there was no way that the Teferi line was going to work out for you. Although, you shouldn't have fetched empty basically then, right? Because then you can guarantee the Teferi exile my own thing. I mean, you can just go Teferi if you fetch. I guess it puts an extra land into play for them, which is some downside.
So the only out Grzegorz is having is either a Supreme Verdict or Solitude at this point.
And he gets to consult for it. For 4. Is that right? Yeah, so he needs to hit white card Solitude?
Yep.
But is that...
Or he could just... Oh no, he did play land, so...
Because, well, I guess it depends on if he does have the Supreme Verdict, because then it's actually choice, right? Because then maybe... Is it more likely to find white card Solitude, which he does here? Or is it more likely to find a single verdict?
So... That doesn't do a lot. He still needs to be able to win.
Yeah, he's still kind of in trouble, although I think Patrick is okay. He drew the
if you want a top deck, that's the top deck you want to go for.
Definitely. Because Patrick didn't have anything going on either at that point, right? Oh my god! All right.
Oh my
So
god.
the Wrath of Skies goes.
This is great. Although at this point I would just dump. I think just dump in additional mana to get an additional.
Just energy.
Yeah, like one.
Opted to get the Kihira as well.
It depends if you have nothing and you want to bluff, sure, why not? Otherwise, I just dump in the electricity.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's a glaring Fleshraker, but he does have the consign, which is why I didn't spend the extra mana on the Wrath. And here comes Kihira. So
yes, I mean, we do have to see that if the Fleshraker resolves and next turn Patrick draws Kozak's command, the game is over.
Yeah.
So he does need to have an answer for basically everything right now.
And here comes the Brute Scale. I was going to say the Kihira's 12 turn clock, but...
And here comes the attack.
We have the ending to take it out. Okay, so now the clock has been assembled, yeah? The 3 power beatdown against the 35 life total. 32.
It's a very aggressive kitty. So now basically for Grigor's is basically just draw and go at this point. Also, whenever he draws a blank, he can just loot it away, end of Patrick's turn with Gather Reach.
Yeah, that is also kind of scary again because Patrick also gets to loot away his blanks, so it's again sort of a question of whom that sort of exchange favors. It's unclear. Counterspell takes care of Ancient Stones, which would have otherwise probably found something nice. Again, you have to counter that thing in case there's a Saga inside. Okay, Teferi.
Just Teferi Optic, I guess, or minus just to draw.
Optic or just Optic, yeah, minus just to draw, but yeah, it looks like it was an Optic. There's another Saga now, okay. Patrick, I guess he can bounce it for 1 turn with a Teferi.
I mean, do you need to bounce it this turn? I think you could just plus Teferi, it doesn't matter.
Well, it allows them to make a construct, right? So this way you don't get... There's one construct in play.
True, but you don't have any artifacts, so it's just a 1/1 against your 2/2 kitty, or 3/2 kitty.
For now, yeah, but it will grow later when there's more, like, when the Saga eventually comes back. You're right, it's not super clear, but I think it kind of does make sense to just get it out of the way. You're probably going to do it anyway, and you don't want to give them an extra construct in the long run. Especially you are at 6, so even a 1/1 is a threat, depending slightly on how the board develops.
I think Grigor's just now wants to maybe get another Wrath of the Skies going. Just keep it in hand plus Teferi.
Yeah, I mean, ideally you want to get rid of the Saga before it does too much damage.
Yeah, if you have the Wrath, it doesn't matter. You can just let them make 1 token. That's fine.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would.
At the very least, it could get. I don't know. We've seen 2 Vexing Bubbles already this game, or was that the previous game?
No, it's this game. It's 2 Vexing Bubbles have been played already.
So basically, it's unlikely there's a redraw in the caverns. Sorry, in the Saga. So, like, if you have Wrath, then whatever comes out of the Saga is going to get swept away with it as well. But obviously, yeah, you'd rather make sure you have that. Here comes another Fleshraker. So that one will threaten even with colorless creatures entering now.
This could be a quick finish if the last card is Command.
Probably would have played a command at this point. But yeah, there's a Brute Scale, and that's going to deal a damage just from the Fleshraker entering. Okay.
Or you just copy and replicate everything.
But hold on, what's happening here?
So I think he's countering the Brute Scale and he's countering the Fleshraker.
Is the Fleshraker on cast? I thought it was on enter.
No, it's
whenever another colorless creature enters the battlefield under your control. The Eldrazi spawn, right? I see. Yeah, I get it. Because it makes 0/1 if you make a colorless creature, and that's the one that was being replicated there. Yeah. All right.
So this will ping for 2, the Springleaf as well as the Eldrazi.
The Springleaf, I think it's not a creature, right? It just asks for creatures. Whenever you cast a color spell. No, you're right. Okay. Yes. Sorry.
Okay, so with the
But
trigger,
instead, because we uptick to fairy, we got to ending the Fleshraker.
we bounce the saga,
Bounce the saga again, but this time the construct comes out.
so they do get a 2/2. But is that good enough? I mean, an attack could indicate that a board wipe is coming.
Well, also you just attack, right? Because if they block, then you achieve the same thing as blocking.
Exactly.
Before the thing might grow out of reach, so might as well attack. But bouncing the saga is interesting. I guess it delays your. Okay.
So now this solitude could bring him back just because it will be a 4/3.
Yeah, the 4/3 life link is gonna start replenishing the life total again.
Although Patrick can just block and sacrifice the spawn token, just denying the life gain 1 turn.
For 1 turn, indeed. But also because of the vigilance from Kira, it's awkward to now get into get damage in with the construct. Days Undoing.
The blank Days Undoing, obvious. Yeah, I think Gregor just wants to have a full hand again because on the
That's
board.
also an interesting choice. That's a really interesting choice, right? Because it also gives your opponent, in this case, a full hand. You're just saying that their cards are not going to be mattering.
Is that card in hand a Veil of Summer?
I can't quite tell.
It doesn't make a difference. If it's Veil, you don't need to show it to the opponent. Yeah, it is. Because you draw a card and then your hand immediately gets shuffled.
Yeah. It doesn't do much.
Yeah, the turn ends and that's about it.
I am kind of fascinated by this choice. It's kind of funny as well. Imagine if the saga had been on 2, it would just I know you can always activate in response, never mind. But yeah, so you're basically saying my hand of 7 is going to be your hand of 7 at this point in time when I already have the superior board.
I mean, that's the only thing he can do right now, so.
Yeah, you could just not cast it, right? Theoretically. You could just say my Kihira and Solitude are going to probably beat your 1 construct plus card you get from Urza Saga.
I don't think it would beat that card, that's the issue. So that's why most likely it's just a desperation Days Undoing, just to draw 7 in hopes to get more action going.
I mean, he might well be right that this is good enough, but there's definitely going to be a barrage of spells from Patrick now, so it's not super clear to me. Here comes a Solitude. Now it's looking like there's going to be actually quite a formidable force on Gregor's side, yeah, because Solitude's an elemental as well, so suddenly we have 11 damage in play.
The subtlety?
Subtlety, sorry, my bad, yeah.
No worries. So I do see why he wheeled at this point, because he does have the mana right now to untap and actually keep open interactive, important, impactful spell. So that's probably what was his thoughts at this point.
Yeah. I mean, I was just saying it was an interesting choice. I think it looks like it's panning out really well for sure.
And it makes Patrick's Emerald Cool the Promise and cost 13 again, which might matter at some point if he runs multiple copies.
There's a second copy, yeah. Okay, so here we see Kahira being taken out by Kozilek's Command.
So that's Kozilek's Command for X equals 3, I see.
Countered by something. Consign.
Memory.
Yeah, going after Kahira there makes sense because you basically take out 5 power off the board, which is actually relevant at this stage. Blade of the Bloodchief resolves. And an Ancient Stirrings resolves, which could pick up the Fleshraker we just put there with the subtlety, but also might clear it. We'll see.
No, it does pick it up.
Interesting.
That's really interesting. So at this point, he's tapped out, and Paprykarz just can attack for, what is it, 4, 8,
11.
11?
And also the Wrath of the Skies is huge here. It takes out the Saga as well as the Blade, plus obviously the Springleaf Drum, less relevantly. But taking out the Saga means no tutoring, reduces access to mana, and the Blade is no longer in play to actually combo. There's a chance, actually. I mean, obviously, yes, Grzegorz was stepped out, but again, perhaps you shouldn't have played the Blade if you needed to combo because you're exposing it to Wrath like this as the brute skill player, because maybe you want to just deploy everything in one turn and hope there's no interaction. And
And
Patrick
there's
just gives
the
up.
handshake. So
What a comeback that game.
that was a 2-0, I presume. Nice.
Yeah, yeah. So Grzegorz ends up 5-2, has to sweat the tiebreakers. You know, the fact that we're seeing this match probably means it's the most likely one to be winning in, if not guaranteed. So yeah, probably, let's say probably we'll see Grzegorz in the top 8. He's going
Most
to
likely.
join Michał on Eldrazi for sure, and then perhaps Piotr last round we saw who was playing Domain Zoo, and then we'll see what other decks we have in the top 8
Yes,
shortly.
we will check this out and we will come back to you later. This was my last match doing the commentary on, so I'm gonna leave you
Thank you so much.
towards
A blast.
commentator, and yeah, we just put in one last time the slide on what it is all about today. So today the top players get a Flooded Strand, alternate art, as well as the winner gets a trophy, playmat, and some beautiful deck boxes. And this tournament also applies for the European Magic Cup, which will take place next spring. And with that, I'm going to leave you guys for the top 8 match, starting in a couple of minutes, if possible.
All right, thanks so much.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Paprykarz Modern Destination Qualifier here in Warsaw, Poland. It's me. I'm back. I've got Raoul in one of these directions. I don't know which. And we've got a top 8 for all of you. And I'm going to run us through what decks we've got. We've got a relatively diverse top 8. We do have 3 Boros Energy decks. We also have 2 copies of Espagorios, one of which I believe was the Espagorio Riddler deck that we saw earlier on in the Swiss portion of our tournament. We have Goblin Guide Zoo, which we are going to be seeing for our quarterfinals match. And we also have Eldrazi and Amulet Titan. Seems like a relatively diverse top 8.
Yeah, I mean, 3 energies, I guess, is the only sort of larger representation there. Double Goryo is actually kind of interesting because that's not a deck with the huge meta share, generally speaking, but it does seem to have performed here. And yes, like you say, there's the Riddler in one of them, which is a new card that, yeah, it's always nice to see new cards finding their way into Modern, a format that is as powerful as Modern.
Yeah, it's always very exciting to see. Now, our match, we do have Boros Energy versus our Goblin Guide Zoo deck. Before we get to that, we want to remind you all about what our players are playing for here. We have our top 8, and all of our top 8 will be getting some wonderful merchandise, courtesy of our sponsor, Heavy Play. If they lose in the quarterfinals, not to fret, they will still get an RFG deck box as a prize, in addition to any prizes incurred through the Paprykarz tournament. And on top of that, if they get to the top 4, not only are they getting a beautiful flooded strand with an altered sleeve, and can I say the art is absolutely gorgeous, and I want 4 of them, they also get their hands on an RFG deck box max. And if they win the tournament, not only do they get all of that, they also get an ETB playmat from Heavy Play and a beautiful trophy and an invite to the European Magic Cup happening early next year. And on top of that, this is a qualifier event, which means that you can earn 5 times the points for the Polish Nationals leaderboard. And people playing in Polish Nationals are playing for an absolutely beautiful prize rule. Look at that, Bayou.
Yeah, very nice. I mean,
it's gorgeous.
You don't see Bayous as prizes that often, and it's nice that they made the extra effort with this one. Yeah,
absolutely. It's really nice to see. And can I just say that participation promo, the Eldrazi Spawn, I want 1 million of them.
Yeah, we just watched Brute Scale actually, and we thought that it would be funny to take that deck to Nationals and just get as many of the tokens as you can from people and just bring out the Eldrazi Spawn, because that deck's probably the one that most prominently features them. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's just such a beautiful token. I don't even play Eldrazi and I want 20 of them.
Sure.
Now, if you qualify for Polish Nationals, you're looking to top 8 the tournament to get yourself an invite to the European Magic Cup, assuming you haven't qualified already. If you win, you get the beautiful Bayou and a trophy and a Heavy Play playmat. And then the top 16 are all getting Heavy Play merch. So first through fourth are getting the deck box max from Heavy Play, and everybody else in the top 16 is getting a regular deck box, which is still a very neat prize for the Polish Nationals. And players really looking to top 8 this one.
Definitely. Also, of course, the glory of being national champion. That's something that we weren't able to play for in Magic for a long time, and I'm sure that many people will be craving that more than anything, even maybe.
And people will be absolutely ecstatic to get to play for it once again. But let's not dawdle any longer. Let's talk about this match. Let's have a chat about the players. We've got Boros Energy on the top, and we've got Zoo on the bottom.
So yeah, the Boros Energy deck's being piloted by Wojciech Kowalczuk. I think he's known online as Xerk. He is often hanging out in Kanister's stream, one of the top Polish players, I would say. And yeah, bringing Boros Energy to the table here. And Piotr, he is the player we saw earlier playing the Zoo deck, who won very impressively on a mulligan to 5 against 7 cards by just absolutely battering his opponent with a Kavu and just a flurry of burn spells. And later we saw also that there's Wild Cattle and Goblin Guide in his deck, so he took quite an aggressive approach to the Zoo deck, which you don't often see nowadays. So we'll see how they will face off here.
Absolutely. And we see the players shake hands as they shuffle their decks up to begin the quarterfinals match here. A reminder for all of you, the top 8 matches are all untimed, with players obviously expected not to take the mick and play really slowly. But players having the time they need to make the relevant decisions, not drawing out a game thinking, oh my god, I've got to win 2 games in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's going to be a problem in this matchup.
It always does feel nice when you have that consideration off your mind. I think it just gives it a bit more. You just can appreciate the game a bit more, I suppose. Yeah. And
absolutely. As somebody who has played in timed top 8 matches, it's quite stressful.
Especially in top 8 matches, if you're then faced with some weird tiebreaker rule. Yeah.
Absolutely. I believe the tiebreaker rule in that tournament was highest life total wins.
Yeah,
and I managed to kill my opponent on turn 5 somehow.
Yeah.
It was a very grueling game 3. But regardless, we're here to talk about our players. So we've got this really interesting Domain Zoo list that's playing Goblin Guide and Wildnacadle, a true blast from the past. If you're familiar with sort of the really early days of Modern, before Wildnacadle got banned, which is still something that surprises me when I think about it. And then you've got the new guard of Modern, Boros Energy, the top dog in the format, 3 copies in the top 8. Who do we think is on top, and what do we think our players are looking to do in the early turns to get an early advantage?
I'm slightly biased towards Boros Energy. I think it's the more well-rounded deck. Whether it's necessarily better in this matchup specifically, I'm not super sure. But I think, yeah, it's more suited to attack the metagame as a whole. And it's just all the cheap cards make it so good at being able to deploy great threats early for little mana and get a whole lot of mileage out of them. That said, the Zoo deck has obviously a 1-2 punch that's very, very hard to beat for anyone. It's the you start with the Ley Line of the Guild Pact and you follow it up with the Sign of Draco on turn 2. Means your whole board is impermeable. They cannot kill any of your creatures because they all have Hexproof. They have Vigilance at first strike, so you can't get past them, try and race past them. And there's Lifelink as well, so racing isn't an option in that way either. So if that gets assembled, that will put the energy deck under some real pressure.
Absolutely. A very difficult combination for any deck to beat. Even more so, the best deck in the format is that Leyline Scion combo. So Piotr is going to want to have that in his opening hand, but it's not the end of the world if he doesn't have it, right? He's already got a lot of 1-drops in his deck naturally because he's put all of them in his deck. So even without it, and we see he doesn't have it, he's still able to put on some early pressure. But Ocelot Pride as the turn 1 play for Wojciech might cause a couple of issues here.
Yeah, if that gets going, obviously the Zoo deck doesn't really have a way of sweeping up a wide board, and if there's no ley line, you also don't really have this defensive wall that I mentioned of first strike, lifelink, and being able to race back. So that can get out of hand quite quickly in the Boros Energy in conjunction with Guide of Souls, of course.
Absolutely. And we're going to see what Piotr's going to do here as he draws his first card for turn. Going to kick us off with a Windswept Heath and immediately going to fetch here. Probably going to get a Shockland, but which Shockland in particular, we don't know for sure. Potentially Stomping Ground. But we'll see what he's going to get here. Probably looking to play a 1-drop early. What do you think?
Yeah, you would hope so. I mean, if it's Ragavan, obviously that's blanked by the Ocelot Pride. You don't want to see that one. One of the things that is difficult with this deck is the mana if you don't have the Guild Pact ley line, because your combinations of lands are quite awkward. With Flage in your deck, we have the Breeding Pool like we see here. That doesn't work well with Flage later on. And yeah, you need very specific combinations of lands to get access to all your colors and also make your leyline bindings cheaper. So yeah, we see here the quite awkward 1/1 Wildnacadle, which will obviously be boosted to 2/3 next turn, 2/3/3 next turn, presumably with Sacred Foundry. But for now, it's just a 1/1, so it can't even block the Ocelot Pride profitably, which will kickstart obviously its ability in the end step.
Seems very awkward from Piotr's side, but you've got to feel like he's telegraphing something here. But we do see a second copy of Ocelot Pride come down from Wojciech's side, and that's going to cause some big problems for Piotr as we see 2 cat tokens come down, starting to get very dangerously close to the City's Blessing.
Yeah, I mean, and as early as turn 2. Okay, so we do see
Absolutely.
the fetch land. We're probably going to complete, well, at least get close to domain here. Not complete it, probably, because you need to make some play this turn. Choosing, yeah, the Sacred Foundry, right.
So now we have a 3/3 Wild Nicadal, and that is going to stonewall those 1/1 Ocelot Prides, but very much feels like if you're on Piotr's side that you're on the back foot already.
Yeah, certainly. Now
We
you
do see
followed
another
up with
Welcome Nicadal.
Goblin.
And a Goblin Guide! Old Faithful. Oh,
Yeah, so here's the old zoo deck assembled, yeah.
it feels wonderful.
Hmm.
I did not play Modern during the early days. In fact, I wasn't even playing Magic during that time, but I have
Right.
I've watched back on a lot of those old Pro Tours, watching
No,
this
I mean,
new deck do its thing. I mean,
this
Wild
duo
Nicadal
goes
is
back
such a
for a
drug.
long time for sure, yeah. It is somewhat outcompeted here, I would say, by the more recent one drop. Obviously, yeah, you need to find a way to gain life here still for Wojciech to really start going off, but that's not that difficult generally for the energy deck.
Yeah, what do we think that Wojciech is
Oh.
looking for here in order to get these Ocelot Prides going in the face of multiple fat blockers?
I mean, ideally, you want Guide of like the way where you don't have to sacrifice anything is Guide of Souls followed by a creature, and then you're looking really, really scary because you are probably reaching the City's Blessing at some point there. Bar that, you can just jump attack even an Ocelot Pride here if you want to get the other one going. It's not as good, but say you play a Johnny, for example, then you don't mind your Ocelot Pride dying because it will flip a Johnny and unlock its abilities as a Planeswalker. So that's another way to get mileage out of the Ocelot Pride beyond Guide of Souls. But we'll see. I guess
Absolutely.
Flage is another obvious play. You can just Flage one of the things.
Absolutely, and we've not even talked about Flage as a card in this matchup.
Yeah.
Both decks will be looking to deploy it, but probably I would say, and I hope you agree with me, would you think it's probably the most important card in this matchup?
Yeah, maybe not as much from the zoo side, I think, but from here
Speak of the devil.
it does come, yeah, obviously. But the energy deck, it's a way for them to put like a really big threat into play that zoo does have to deal with as well, and it's bigger than all the ground stuff. Obviously, it works with the synergies. The reason I'm saying not necessarily from the zoo side is because they're like Sign of Draco Leyline combo kind of is even more devastating than Flage, although it's still obviously, and also like I said, the mana makes Flage slightly more awkward for the zoo deck here. That we have the breeding pool already. He will need to get to 5 mana on Piotr's side to get to even flash it back. Yeah. But anyway, yeah.
Absolutely. As we do see now, we are dangerously close to the City's Blessing here. We have 9 permanents in play. One more permanent, even a land, is going to trigger the City's Blessing. We're going to start doubling up some tokens. We see Flage has dealt with one of the Wild Nicadals. There is an onslaught of little 1/1s
Interesting
on
also
Wojciech's
that
side of the
Piotr
board.
just passed, yeah? And here comes another Flage.
Absolutely not doing anything. While another Flage is going to come down from Wojciech's side. That's going to give City's Blessing. And Piotr just gives up. He's had enough. We're going to move on to game 2 here.
That makes you really wonder what was in his hand, right? He just passes? He drew a bunch of ley lines after the fact and maybe stubborn denials, I guess. His hand was probably just the creatures and some lands, and then his hand developed
Drew
really
a bunch
poorly.
of 1-drops and then died, right?
Yeah.
Pretty
Unfortunate.
Yeah, definitely not the best draw from Piotr's side, but we're going to see if he can bring this game back. Now let's have a chat about sideboarding here. Wojciech obviously he's had a very good first game. Ocelot Pride and Flage has sort of done all the work for him, whereas Piotr has kind of had a very anemic hand with not a lot going on. What do we think Wojciech is looking for in these sideboarded games just to keep that lead going and slam the door shut in Piotr's face so that he can't come back in game 2?
Yeah, so one of the things that Boros often has access to is just Blood Moon, because obviously that does shut off the domain deck's strategy entirely. Yeah, you can't cast any spells at all anymore, and all your creatures kind of become super bad. Like the Kavu becomes a 1/1 and stuff like this. And that's probably the most haymakery card that he has access to. there's things like Celestial Purge, which can kill Flage, can kill Leyline, so that you can actually, break through that wall of Leyline plus Draco if it happens. So ways to interact with Leyline, the Blood Moon as a sort of hammer, that sort of thing, I would say. Just, good removal and Blood Moon as a trump card.
Absolutely. Blood Moon, a very powerful card against these sort of greedy mana bases with a lot of shocks, a lot of fetches. Definitely going to be something that Piotr is worried about going into the sideboarded games. Speaking of Piotr, what do we think he's going to want to bring in against this energy deck? He's played game one. His opponent has had a bunch of 1/1s that he couldn't answer. Does he have any tools in order to answer these wide boards that the Boros Energy can vomit out at such short notice?
Yeah, I mean, it depends a bit. I was wondering about this specifically because his list is a bit more aggressive himself, right? He has a lot of like Goblin Guides, Wild in the Cattle. So traditionally, the Domain Zoo decks like to have Wrath of the Skies to shore up this problem I mentioned earlier, where they don't have a way of cleaning up a big board. Obviously, Wrath of the Skies or even something like Pyroclasm gives you that opportunity after sideboarding. But it would be a little weaker in his version of the deck because he has these smaller abundance of smaller creatures. Obviously, he can board them out. So maybe that's his plan, is that he takes out some of the smaller stuff to bring in wraths of his own. But in his deck building, he's probably slightly incentivized to go to fewer wraths than other builds of Zoo might do. And beyond that, I mean, that's the biggest one. Beyond that, you can bring in perhaps Wear Tear just as an out to Blood Moon, as an extra out to Blood Moon. It's not very good otherwise. So probably it's not really a great choice. But you do have this problem that you have to always think about Blood Moon. You do have Leyline Binding, but that also is awkward against the Blood Moon often.
It's definitely something you have to consider is the power of Blood Moon in this matchup.
Yeah.
What?
Especially also, even the thing is, even with the Leyline of the Guild Pact, sometimes you fetch early on, and then you have to make sure that you have your planes still available. You have to make sure that you get your planes at a time where you can actually cast the stuff to get to the Leyline.
Absolutely. Binding. Yeah, absolutely. It looks like our players have finished sideboarding here and are looking to shuffling up their decks, getting ready for game 2. We've had a talk about sideboarding decisions. How about we have a chat about the strategy going into these sideboarded games? As obviously these players are going to know about the kind of things that their opponents are going to want to side in this matchup. What sort of approach do we think that Wojciech is taking against a Zoo deck that has more of the tools it needs to answer what the Boros Energy deck is trying to do?
Yeah, it's a bit tricky because if there are these sort of Wrath of the Skies type effects or Pyroclasm and things like this, obviously you don't want to commit too much into these things, but also just the nature of your deck makes it so that you have to make a big board. So it's one of the cards that you don't have that much leeway of playing around. Obviously, ideally, you maybe get to this point where you have Johnny as a Planeswalker to insulate from Wrath of the Skies. On the other hand, often they might have some bigger creature that survives the Wrath of the Skies even and then takes out your Johnny. So I think there's not too much Wojciech can do. But Goblin Bombardment, I guess, is a way that you can get mileage out of a big board being in play and then getting Wrath. You can just shoot your opponent for a bunch. So that's some counterplay there. Although you will also lose your Bombardment if you don't kill them in that swing. So yeah. It's a kind of tightrope dance for him, I suppose.
Absolutely. And what about Piotr? He's seen what the Boros deck can do with quite swift force in the first game. Piotr looking to prevent Wojciech from doing the same thing again in game 2. How is he looking to do that, and how is he looking to apply his own pressure in the face of a board full of 1/1s?
Yeah, in some way, maybe we didn't even discuss it in the first game, but you kind of wonder perhaps his hand might have been a mulligan because it wasn't really achieving anything that you need in the matchup in game 1, where you don't have access to these wraths. But now that you have access to these wraths, maybe it's fine to even play a slightly controlling game against this energy deck, because you actually have the tools of cleaning up this big board. And obviously, you always want to start with the Leyline, like we see here.
Yeah,
And
that is exactly what Piotr wants to see on turn 1. As we see that Nakadal come down alongside the ley line, we have a turn 1 3/3, folks. It brings
notably
us
also a
Jason
plains, so that also is some insulation against Blood Moon already.
Absolutely. And with the ley line in play, Piotr perhaps wanting to respect Blood Moon a little bit less.
Yeah, well, it is timestampy, right? But yeah, the plains especially makes it much less of a deal. Big deal. We see containment.
Ooh, hello, there we go.
What was it called?
Nakadal is a 1/1 and it's just swinging in.
It's 2/2 because the plains buffs
Oh
it
yeah,
anyway.
absolutely.
Yeah,
My
sorry.
apologies. We have a 2/2 still, but Piotr has missed.
Oh,
the
but no
second
land?
drop.
Oh my god.
That's really bad.
Wow.
This is a
Well,
really
he didn't
bad
mulligan, right? He kept the 7. So I guess his hand has Draco in it.
He kept the 7, so clearly he was thinking about the ley line and being able to cast his spells with just the planes, but that static prison from Wojciech is going to throw a spanner in the works.
Although he does have to upkeep it, so there's the danger here that it will simply go away and the ley line comes back.
Well, here's a Ragavan now, and a Galvanic Discharge to answer the Wild Nakadal.
And crucially also gives you an extra energy, yeah.
Absolutely, and it's going to keep the ley line out of play for a little bit. Piotr really looking for a land, and he finds it.
Okay. But now you have this plains, which is like probably one of the worst lands for you to have just out there because it doesn't cost most of your stuff, yeah?
It's very much a liability here, and Ragavan is going to come swinging in. Piotr going to fetch his Wooded Foothills in response. Going to get a shock land. What shock land is it going to be? Probably a red one, as he wants to answer this Ragavan, and he's already got his white mana in order to cast a Leyline Binding should he need it.
Yeah, and he can't actually get to domain, right? If he could get a domain, maybe he gets the Triome, but yeah, it's only 4 types then.
Absolutely. Steam Vents is what we get.
Yeah.
It's not pretty.
No, because now we don't have green mana still, which there's a decent, like obviously Kavu and Nakatl and stuff like this are green cards. But okay, if you can kill a Ragavan at least, which I assume is why we're doing this, yeah.
And yeah, we see Lightning Bolt take care of the Ragavan here.
Takes care of one of the scary threats. But yeah, this is a dicey start for Piotr after that leyline seeing exile.
Absolutely. Piotr's deck once again not exactly doing what the deck wants to do. As we see Ocelot Pride come down from Wojciech's side. Does he have a third land to maybe get some green mana? And he finds a Windswept Heath. The top of his deck has been very kind to him, given the very risky one-lander that he has kept.
Yeah. And Wojciech has, in the meantime, also missed his land and sitting there with Mountain, Sacred Foundry, so also constrained on white mana. Maybe he wanted to make 2 white spells that turn, but couldn't.
We see Overgrown Tomb come down now from Piotr's side. A very interesting land. I've not seen that in the domain list often as a shock land that people play, but it has granted Piotr domain now.
Yeah.
So his Leyline Bindings are going to cost 1, and he does crucially have access to green mana to cast some of the spells he wants to cast, even aside of Draco if we see one. But we see Tribal Flames instead.
And straight to the face, I love it.
Just straight to the face. You know what, mate? I'm going to do you for 5. Your days are numbered. You missed your land drop. I'm the beatdown now.
Yeah.
Your 1/1 lifelinker isn't going to save you against 3 Tribal Flames.
Well, also it looks like it's going to get leylined. Yeah.
Yeah. Makes perfect sense to me. But Wojciech appears to be stalling. What do you think he has in response to
Weird here? No.
Thraben Charm is going to answer the Leyline Binding with the trigger on the stack, so it never exiles the Ocelot Pride and can still deal some damage. So Wojciech is going to go up to 12 here. Piotr down to 13.
Yeah, that actually is an interesting play then, because perhaps if Piotr had leylined on his own turn when the mana wasn't there for the Thraben Charm, then obviously the trigger from the Ocelot Pride would have been prevented. So there's a cat in play which probably Piotr could have avoided. Plus, yeah, just 1 extra damage. But we'll see where we take that from here.
Absolutely. And Piotr in a very interesting spot here. His mana is really poor. We see him pass with nothing on the battlefield and 3 cards in hand. But crucially, the Static Prison is now gone with no energy to keep it on the battlefield. So Leyline of the Guild Pact, we're back in business.
Yeah. Although it seems like there are no answers to the Pride still. It again makes you wonder, there's 3 cards in hand, nothing cast?
It is really interesting, isn't it? I'm wondering what Piotr's
There's
got in his hand
yeah,
that he's looking to
actually,
do.
I'm actually kind of. It could be if he does have Wrath of this guy's. That's a card he can't actually cast with his current configuration of mana, or he couldn't until the Leyline came back. So
Yeah,
that
crucially, he
is
will be able to
something
do that.
that would now obviously be great for him because it would clear the board entirely.
Also going to draw a card here as Wojciech passes for the turn. We see Pyroclasm come down.
Okay,
That's going
that's
to answer everything on the battlefield. Wojciech still with no energy, only 3 lands, but Piotr still has no board presence against the Boros Energy deck. But Wojciech now passes with nothing.
so that suggests that there's a Flage in hand, right? There wasn't a good opportunity to play a Flage really, and you probably don't
There
just
still
throw it out
isn't.
there. And yes, maybe you do, but
We see Celestial Purge now to answer the Territorial Carvu, which is going to land. Piotr not having something like a Stubborn Denial to stop that from happening.
although yeah, maybe if you have Flage, you do actually just go face, because if you draw a land, you can then haste it out. So probably there isn't actually Flage in hand, having just said that.
Absolutely, and Wojciech still with 4 lands in hand has nothing. Perhaps we're looking at a very reactive draw here from Wojciech as we see another Tribal Flames come down. Here we go.
This is
5 damage to the dome.
such a brave use of these Tribal Flames, honestly. I would be tempted to just keep a few, keep it. Like there's no super real rush. You have a lot of lands in play at this point, and what if there's some creature that Wojciech? It is a sorcery, right? But it's just what if there's some threatening creature that's coming out in a few turns, and do you really need to deal the 5 right now? Wojciech only goes to 9. Anyway, I don't know. I mean, clearly Piotr has a plan, and he's not going to.
Clearly, Piotr has kept a hand with 1 land, a Wild Cardinal, a Ley Line, and 4 copies of Tribal Flames. Just to, if I draw a 4th land, you're dead in 4 turns. I don't care what you're doing. Just don't draw a Flage or a Guide of Souls or anything that gains life.
Maybe that's what's happening here. If there's 2 Tribal Flames coming out now, obviously I'll eat my words.
If there's 2 Tribal Flames in Piotr's hand right now, this game is over, regardless of what Wojciech does.
Yeah. It doesn't seem to be quite the case though, since
Piotr
is crossing.
Wojciech going down to 8, going to get an Elegant Parlor here. We see that we've seen that his hand doesn't really have anything going on. He's not really played any creatures bar that Ragavan, and hasn't been able to recover after that Pyroclasm. So what do we think Wojciech is looking for on the top off the top of his library here?
I mean, Flage is actually probably one of his most impactful draws, just because it'll be over the course of 2 turns lethal damage. With the Arena of Glory
lethal because he's got the Arena of Glory, right?
But he can't cast it and also bring it back from the graveyard in the same turn, right? That costs like 7 mana.
He'd have to mill it off of the.
He'd have to, if he'd surveil it in the graveyard. But then it's also 9 damage only. So obviously Flage is one of the big cards, but Blood Moon, as we can see critically here, is not even good enough here because there's the planes in play already, and.
Okay, we have a creature now. We have a Johnny. It's going to make a 2/1 here. We're going to see what Piotr is going to look to do. I don't know if he's drawn his card yet or if he's thinking of doing something on the end step.
It's going to be another Pyroclasm, maybe? Because he's been passing with nothing and 3 cards in hand, so he just has to have answers, right? There's no real sense yet. Okay.
It's another Tribal Flames! And a bolt! And you are dead!
Just dead. Okay, so he was sitting there with his friends.
3 copies of Tribal Flames is going to get the job done here as Piotr takes game 2 of this quarterfinals match, and we're all tied up.
Yeah, and I mean, you have to commend Piotr for just relentlessly pointing that burn to face, I guess, because there were spots where he could have killed creatures on the board, killed that also Pride with the Tribal Flames, but no. In the end, Wojciech died exactly to all this burn.
Piotr very much showing us how important patience is in a game of Magic. He did have the option to answer those really powerful creatures that, conventional wisdom tells us that if you don't kill those creatures as soon as you see them, you're probably going to end up losing the game. But Piotr going, I don't really care about that. I want to deal 5 damage to your face 3 times and then bolt you to death.
It does make you wonder the progression of his hand, It does make you wonder about the progression of his hand, of whether you were right, maybe that there were actually just a ton of Tribal Flames sitting in the hand, and he was like, I have so much burn, I'm just going to be able to kill you no matter what. Yeah,
absolutely. He might have just got it completely bang on, and we have no idea.
Yeah,
Regardless, Piotr did win that game, so clearly he was doing something right there. Both players stumbling a little bit in the early turns, though. Wojciech never really able to get back in the game after that Pyroclasm came down and wiped everything.
The Pyroclasm was brutal for sure, yeah. That's what it's there for, yeah. It makes sense. And also, like, given that we now see that Piotr has Pyroclasm in his deck, I would be willing to bet he doesn't have Goblin Guide in his deck anymore. Because then everything else does survive it, right? I guess Ragavan doesn't if he has that, but I'm not sure.
And I mean, we saw in that game as well, like, you've got a bunch of 1-mana 3/3s. Pyroclasm is not going to do much against your board, whereas Wrath of the Skies, we were sort of concerned that it could be a non-bow against his swath of aggressive 1-drops, where it basically hurts him as much as it hurts his opponent.
Yeah. The danger, obviously, with Pyroclasm is sometimes if you draw it later after a Guide of Souls has already put counter somewhere, means that it also doesn't sweep their board necessarily. So that's the downside, but yeah, it is certainly good in that stage.
Absolutely. Where our players are shuffling up and getting ready for game 3 here, Wojciech is going to be on the play now, which is definitely going to benefit him in this matchup. What do we think Wojciech is looking to do in order to seal the deal and get into the semis?
Yeah, I mean, I guess he just wants to have a bit more of an explosive draw than he did last game. He had lots of answers. He had the Thraben Charm. He had the Static Prison for the Leyline. It's all very nice, but he just didn't manage to put any pressure. And yeah, he just needs to make use of being on the play by getting that aggressive draw, maybe hopefully opening with the signature 1-2 punch of Guide of Souls with the Ocelot Pride and develop a quick board, hopefully fading a Pyroclasm. That would be his ideal progression, I think.
Absolutely, and our players getting ready to mull over their opening hands here. And this is game 3 of the quarterfinals here at the Modern Destination Qualifier in Warsaw, Poland, courtesy of Paprykarz. We're also sponsored by Heavy Play, by the way. They do provide some very high quality deck boxes and also playmats. And they are providing.
I'm told they're very good. Yeah,
they are providing some of the prizing for this tournament as well. If you win this quarterfinals match, you are getting a deck box courtesy of Heavy Play. In fact, to be exact, it's the RFG deck box Max 80DS. It sounds
like a gaming console, yeah.
Absolutely, it sounds like
you can actually play Zelda on it as well.
Yeah, you can play Zelda on the deck box. It's got a nice little screen for it. I'm looking at the image right now.
That's pretty cool.
You can play Mario Kart 64 on it. That is definitely true, and we're not telling fibs.
Maybe that's a product idea for the future. Yeah.
Yeah, Heavy Play. If you're watching, take notes.
You've got the. I think there was mulligan, or did they just shuffle really long? I thought Wojciech maybe mulliganed. Maybe they both mulliganed, in fact.
It's entirely possible that they both mulliganed. I was spending too much time looking at the prizing for this tournament in order to see if they were...
I could also be imagining things. No, but
mulliganing or not. No, Piotr definitely mulliganed and is considering what he wants to put down, but it definitely looks like he wants to keep the hand. What can we see in his hand? I got a very brief glimpse. I saw a couple of lands. I think I saw a Territorial Kavu there.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a Tribal Flames? Yeah, that's...
And the Leyline, okay.
Oh, there is a Leyline.
Ragavan turn 1. That's always a check that, puts pressure on the domain deck because, he does have Leyline, so that now he has 8 answers between Lightning Bolt and Leyline Binding, but often, on turn 1, it can still be a huge threat.
Absolutely. We do see on turn 1 here, Piotr is fetched.
Is it dead?
Wojciech is swinging in with a Ragavan, and as we can see, he was very much ready to put it into the graveyard or in exile. Piotr mulling his options. And Piotr is going to decide that it's going in exile.
It's an interesting it's interesting that he thought about it, yeah? So he probably doesn't have another removal spell and is wondering if there's something even more important than a Ragavan he needs to take out. Otherwise, I don't think it's a big question whether you kill it.
Well, perhaps he's mulling over whether or not he wants to bolt or Leyline here. But we see Side of Draco now, and this is a 1-2 punch that Piotr has been looking for.
Yeah.
It's going to be very
I guess
difficult.
maybe that was potentially a reason why he thought, I don't need to use my removal spell because I'm going to do this next turn anyway, and then that stops Ragavan for eternity. But I mean, he did end up going for the kill on the Ragavan.
Basically wondering if he can afford for his opponent to get a card off the top and get a treasure, and ultimately deciding that that's not what he wants, and he wants to just answer the Ragavan before it can cause problems for him. He knows he has to turn to Scion of Draco. He knows that just off of that alone, he's in a pretty good spot. But I do see wear tear in Wojciech's hand now. And that's probably going to raise some questions now from Piotr's side as to whether or not he wants to attack with the Scion of Draco.
Okay, so the cat got in, by the way. It wasn't blocked because Piotr wanted to avoid Johnny flipping. And yes, now the wear tear, it's also interesting for Wojciech. What does he kill? I mean, obviously, the Leyline banning isn't that interesting.
So he could get a Ragavan back, but ultimately Leyline is what he's going to
just has to kill this one. Right, and now...
Oh, wow. Oh, no, that's just the first one.
Yeah. It's just so sad because obviously you would so much love to fuse it there, but the Scion still has hexproof as an artifact in play.
Absolutely.
As long as the Leyline is in place, we don't actually ever get to do the 2-for-1 there in that combination. Although the next one could take out both the Leyline binding and the Draco if you have another one, but obviously also not this turn.
Absolutely. And we do see that Blood Moon has come in from Wojciech's sideboard, and we see a couple of other sideboard cards there as well. Although I do believe we saw the Blood Moon last game. So Wojciech definitely hoping to rely on the power of Blood Moon, and the card just got a lot better.
Yeah.
With no basics, Blood Moon would be backbreaking.
Certainly.
See Ocelot Pride come down now.
Yeah, Piotr has no longer got the easy win available to him that he was hoping for, where this Leyline just stays in play, but...
okay, Pyroclasm. That'll do it.
Pyroclasm. That is pretty good.
That's basically exactly what he's been looking for, right?
Mm-hmm. This creates a sort of interesting scenario sometimes in these sort of matches where, say, Wojciech has a Blood Moon in hand now. Mm-hmm. You play it, it kind of locks out. Okay, I mean, now it's less interesting. Now, obviously, you just play it, and it's going to be great if you have it. But if, say, you don't have the answer to the Scion, do you, like, lock the game?
Oh, hello. Well, that's a Flage.
This is just a Flage, though, yeah. And just a Flage.
I think that is the card that Wojciech drew off the top as well. I think it was his only card as well. So,
yeah.
Wojciech with only one land, which he doesn't find. Here is an Ocelot Pride. Piotr plays a third land here. He's got to be wary of that Flage coming down. He definitely doesn't want it to cause him any more problems. He's going to shock and fetch now down to 8. And this is probably a good time to talk about the how painful Piotr's mana base is. And again, against the aggressive nature of the Boros deck, it might come back to bite him.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of the things that you have to just take as a downside of your deck when you're playing 1,000 colors.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, okay, the Kavu at least doesn't die to the Flage straight up, so you have a creature that remains. Interestingly, by the way, Piotr's lands now also don't cost his own Flage, even on the front side.
Also, notably, the Kavu, he can attack with the Kavu to exile the Flage from Wojciech's graveyard. Yeah. So this Flage actually isn't coming back next to him.
Yeah, you're right. Good
point. Wojciech had that one opportunity to get a Flage down and doesn't have it anymore.
You're absolutely right.
The window is closed for Flage on Wojciech's side, which might come back to bite him in this match, as this Territorial Kavu isn't something he can answer with a Galvanic Blast. Or a Galvanic Discharge, even, apologies, as he only has one energy in the tank.
I'm not really sure what's happening. What are they waiting for here, do you think?
I'm not sure. I think...
okay.
He got it. Oh, yeah. No, he got... There we go. That makes perfect sense. So he has gotten an Overgrown Tomb off of an Arid Mesa, which is very much not allowed.
Not allowed, yeah.
Not a mountain or a plains.
This goes back to the point I said earlier that the mana in this deck is kind of awkward, and actually, yes, you don't actually get to get any combination you want with the fetch lands you have. It's just you are a bit at the mercy of your deck there. Although, interestingly here, it might kind of improve the situation for Piotr, because then at least he'll be able to cast Flage. Obviously, yeah, he won't get the black, or he wouldn't be able to get the black then. Probably because he doesn't have
a Blood Crypt in his deck, right? Blood Crypt is probably the card he'd be looking to play in that scenario, but we don't... this Domain Zoo deck definitely built more on the green side than on the red side. It looks like the judge is allowing him to keep the Overgrown Tomb. It might be a little bit too far along in the game to reverse that.
Well, they played
But
it only this turn, right? So maybe they're just trying to work it out exactly how how they want to solve this.
it looks like a judge might be getting called. Is that that is a mistake? But it's a very easy mistake to make with this Domain Zoo deck when you're playing so many colors. It's very easy to assume that you have you can fetch any base any duel that you want.
Shouldn't we all be able to cast spells of any color without really any downside?
Tell that to Deathrite Shaman, right?
Isn't that just how Magic works? Yeah, exactly, Deathrite Shaman.
Just unban Deathrite Shaman. We're not going to have any of these problems.
Yeah.
Let Domain Zoo play Deathrite Shaman, and everything's going to be fine.
They might play that over Goblin Guide, perhaps.
Probably. I wouldn't be
Maybe.
surprised. I mean, that card providing a clock on its own, right? You can exile an instant or sorcery and deal 2 to something. Against an aggressive deck, you can get rid of one of your own creatures. If they want to exile a Flage, you go, no, actually, I'm going to exile it on my own terms, thanks, and gain 2 life. Not terrible, but, Deathrite Shaman, probably not the best example of a card that should be allowed to thrive in Modern. Yeah. Maybe bring it back in Legacy, but Modern, definitely not.
Okay, so now, basically, it is sort of an interesting standoff here. Say no player plays anything. Yes, the Kavu will eat the Flage because that's something that has to happen. But then if the Ocelot gets to get in, make a cat, the Kavu can get chumped by the cat, and the Ocelot can get in with the cat, get in, make a cat again. So it's actually kind of a funny standoff, these two creatures just on their own against each other. Basically, it means that the Kavu can't really attack profitably. Besides you getting the trigger off it.
Absolutely, I mean
but they're now trying to sort out this judge call for now, I guess.
Yeah, so the judge has been called to the table. Our players trying to ask, we've messed up this fetch a little bit. What can we do about it? And all the while, Territorial Kavu is just waiting to attack.
So hungry for that Flage.
It wants that powerful elder giant so badly.
Yeah, must be quite a delicious snack.
So tasty, very spicy.
Yeah, hot. Yeah.
A very, 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 very spicy giant lady. A very good snack for a Territorial Kavu.
It might be a lady, actually. Don't know.
I think Flage is actually a lady.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Here we go. Our players still waiting on that judge call to decide what's going to happen here. It's very possible that Piotr will be allowed to walk back, fetching the Overgrown Tomb. Piotr clearly looking to get his 5th copy of a land. His 5th land type, even. An Overgrown Tomb potentially being the only version.
Yeah, it's unclear, right? Probably they do run 2 of each, but it might be that it's like in a Triome, but he probably wouldn't mind getting a Triome either, because is he going to read the 3 mana this turn? Although he did fetch untapped, right? So I guess he does want to use 3 mana.
It depends what he's looking to do, right? Maybe he's looking to cast a Scion of Draco and hold up a Leyline Binding just to answer something, but it's difficult to tell.
That would obviously be very strong if he had that.
Yeah, definitely a very powerful play for sure.
But there's still
First Strike and Trample, right?
So he would actually get Trample on the Kavu, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, and he would definitely get some damage through on that Kavu. Start attacking Wojciech's life total and restricting his ability to actually gain life through the Flage. Wojciech. For a second there, it looked like he was bricking up his graveyard card, saying, "There's no Flage here. What are you talking about? You can't exile my Flage."
Yeah, that's actually the genius. He's like,
it doesn't exist, and that it's
such the Flage to the bottom of your graveyard.
It's such a powerful play from Wojciech, and this is why he's in the top 8.
Clearly. I wonder how intentional that was. it might have been intentional, to be fair. I wouldn't put it past him.
I mean, hey,
just make sure that this land thing distracts you too much from the Kavu that you don't even consider the option of exiling the Flage.
Just hide the Flage and hope your opponent doesn't ask to see your graveyard. That'll work, right?
Yeah, it might. I mean, those types of things actually do work a surprising amount of the time. It just comes down to whether, I mean, if Piotr has this play lined up, which I assume he does, then it's not going to work, that type of thing. But if it's something that it's not even, or that Piotr still has to actually work out, then that sort of thing can have an impact.
I mean, often with plays
Especially
like
if there's
these,
such a long break, yeah, because like they're
Mhm.
now discussing for minutes on end about this
I mean,
about this stretch plan.
often with plays like these, the biggest hurdle is remembering in the heat of the moment that that's what you wanted to do. I've lined myself up saying I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this in several games, and then at the 11th hour, I'm about to make the play, I do something completely different and lose. So
It can definitely happen that you think circles around yourself. Definitely is a danger in the game of Magic.
absolutely, we're still waiting on that judge call to see what Piotr is going to get to do with that overgrown tomb. You might be allowed to keep it and give it a warning for a game rule violation. Or
Well, I
maybe have to
doubt
walk
that
it
they'll
back.
let him keep it, right? Because if it didn't, it happened this turn. If it had happened on a previous turn, but I'm pretty sure he just went this turn, fetch, and was just about to go attack when they noticed. So I think they're gonna rewind it in some way. Would be my intuition, but I mean, we'll see in the end what the resolution is. It's just about maybe there is some discussion about how malicious the play was, and there's like maybe even some investigation going on, because it is potentially quite advantageous because it lets you get the black source, like you say. If it's the only land that lets you get the black source plus keep up leyline binding plus play a 2-drop, then obviously there
That
is
does put Piotr in quite an advantageous position.
some way that this could be nefarious. I personally kind of don't think so, but
It seems quite unlikely, right? I mean, it seems like an honest mistake.
I think so, but you never know, obviously. But obviously, I don't know the players that well either. But I think that's kind of probably what they're making sure, that there was no ill intent here, and it is an honest mistake. And I guess that's why they're probably having discussions. It looks like Wojciech isn't at the table either anymore, so they're probably gathering some info that way. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting because the game can go really a lot of ways from here. So it's the anticipation. Like you say, the play that does have to happen for sure is attack and take out the flames from the graveyard just to insulate from the land top deck on Wojciech's side. But after that, it really just depends a lot on what Wojciech draws and what exactly is in Piotr's hand. Although
See
Piotr
a
is still
hand
the
from
advantage
Wojciech,
for
so
now.
he is at the table.
He is at the table, yeah. It's just he was bending over earlier, so you could see us here. But
And it looks like we see a judge returning to the table and Wojciech just explaining what has happened here. Obviously, we've put an Arid Mesa in the graveyard to fetch, and we fetched an overgrown tomb instead. And the judge is just going to take a look at that. See what they can do. Seems likely that it's going to be rewinded here. And we'll just carry on as normal with Piotr just getting a warning.
that's, I suspect, the most likely outcome, unless Piotr has already got infractions from earlier, but I don't know.
It definitely sucked to lose this quarterfinals to a mistake
Yeah.
like that.
It would indeed. Yeah, but like, I guess in the grand scheme of things, Piotr is probably favored. Yeah, he has the big creature in play. He's going to take out the imminent threat of Flage.
Mhm.
The Ocelot by itself is not yet scary, and the energy decks, top decks against cards in hand, and then like Piotr already still has some cards you can deploy, and the energy deck is top decking, and their average card is obviously powerful, but not insanely powerful, and they do need to work together to get to that really powerful engine that the deck that makes the deck top tier.
We've got to think about it from
Piotr the slight edge at this point.
Absolutely, we've got to think about it from Wojciech's perspective as well. He was given that opportunity by Piotr to draw a fourth land and escape that Flage, but just missing and having that Ocelot Pride is
it's painful. Yeah.
That Territorial Carvo is going to slam that opportunity right in his face if Piotr sees the line and decides not to rummage on attack.
So this is also an interesting situation, depending slightly again on what Piotr is going to do here. Obviously, if another big creature comes down, it's less good. But say Wojciech top decks a Blood Moon, that would be one of the ways that he could stall out this game and get into a very advantageous position in the long run, because it makes the Kavu a 1-1, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which then is means the Oslo Pride can get in, and it shuts off basically the entirety of Piotr's deck. So that's probably the way that he wants the game to go most, but it's unlikely that nothing happens with these cards in hand from Piotr, right? So that could quickly make the Blood Moon less appealing if another big creature shows up. Even something, well, Sign of Draco would be good.
I
Nakato
wonder.
probably would still not be good against Blood Moon. Yeah.
I wonder when this territorial Kavu does come around to attack, is Wojciech even looking to block with the Ocelot Pride here? I'm not entirely sure that is set in stone that he wants to jump with it.
No, he won't jump. What I meant is that since the Kavu is tapped, say there are no other creatures get played, on his next turn he attacks with the Ocelot Pride, gets a token at the end step, and then he can keep jumping with the token as the Kavu keeps attacking. So if the board doesn't change, it's just a standoff basically. In fact, it favors the guy with the Ocelot. If you pretend no one ever casts a spell again, that's the only thing I meant. Obviously, yeah, he's not going to just jump here with the Pride, but it's interesting that this judge call is quite as extensive. It does make me wonder if they are investigating closely just to be super sure.
Definitely seems like there is an investigation. We did see Piotr leave the table and then come back. So perhaps they are just making absolutely sure that there is no foul play there. I highly doubt there is, to be honest. But
it does depend slightly, like I said, on the exact makeup of his deck. If it's literally his only black source, it looks a bit dodgier than if he has a Blood Crypt. I guess maybe that's what they're even checking now, is if there's cards. Well, okay, I guess maybe they're looking what he can fetch in general. To be honest, this this Overgrown Tomb is kind of so bad though, because again, it's another one that doesn't flashback Flage.
Yeah, exactly. So like he's trading off one advantage for another. Really, it's more. It's more a question of the sort of context of the overall hand and the situation in the game, right?
Honestly, the fact that he has that combination of lands in his deck really makes me wonder if he has Flage at all. But surely he must do.
It would be kind of wild if he didn't, right?
Maybe he's like, oh, I'm going to have a ley line, and then I'm going to be able to Flage anyway. I don't know.
Regardless, it's definitely one of the greedier domain mana bases I've seen. But you know, we have seen how it can play in his favor in game 2. We see the deck come back to the table now. And we're just waiting to see what's going to happen here.
That is certainly one way for the quarterfinals to take a long time. I was thinking, like maybe the players are relaxed and playing nice and slow and just taking their time. But
nope, 20-minute judge call.
Sometimes it's just the judge calls that do it.
It's definitely the longest judge call I've seen for somebody fetching the wrong land. But there is no harm in doing your due diligence if you think something is wrong.
Yeah, it's also not a matchup that you generally expect to go particularly long. So it's quite funny that in this matchup they're at it for ages.
Absolutely. We see Wojciech in the corner just fiddling with his tokens, trying to occupy himself while this judge call goes ahead.
Yeah.
We see him arrange his tokens and a nice little arrangement there.
I mean, all this said, it does make sense to make sure that there's nothing untoward here, because
absolutely
it's certainly a scenario where there's the potential for it, and you don't want to just brush off the possibility of malintent. But again, it is quite an easy mistake to make with this sort of deck. So it's fine. It's fine that they're sorting it out and taking the time and the thoroughness to make sure they come to the decision that is most appropriate.
All right. It looks like
not being explained.
It looks like we're getting a ruling here. I think the judge has come to Wojciech, and it's just explaining what's happened. And we're going to see what the outcome of this judge call is going to be. My expectation would be that he gets off with a warning and we rewind to fetch with the
Yeah.
arrow.
I mean, I'm not as firm with the rules as I used to be, but it's funny. Like, okay, yeah, they do.
And that's exactly what happens.
This is what you would expect. But there are some aspects of the rules where, especially with missed triggers, where it is now basically the opponent's choice of whether they want to put the trigger in the stack at a later stage if it got missed. And most of the times the opponent will say no. But imagine them offering Wojciech the choice of whether the Overgrown Tomb gets shuffled back in and leaves Piotr with this like kind of awkward mana base, or whether something else gets fetched. But,
and we do see something else get fetched. We see Temple Garden come down now. So Piotr only having 4 land types.
Yeah, so that does kind of confirm our suspicion. Okay, the Flage is immediately eaten.
Flage is gone.
Finally.
It took 20 minutes, but we got there.
Yeah, it does confirm our suspicion that there wasn't actually Black Source, so that's why this Judge Call took so long, I think, because it did make a big difference to...
Absolutely. We see Wild Card will come down instead. You know, Piotr probably eyeing up a Scion of Draco, as we discussed. But, you know, Wild Cardle still has the mana. You know, Leyline Binding is going to cost 2. So Piotr's still having the mana for it. Should it be in his hand? I don't know. We don't know if it is.
Okay.
But here's a Static Prison now.
In response?
Here's a Stubborn Denial.
That's somewhat
interesting.
That
is going to straight up counter the Static Prison.
Huh.
And Ocelot Pride is just not going to attack. We're going to see what Piotr draws, but Wojciech is clearly drawing off the top of his library as we see both creatures come in from Piotr's side, and he's going to choose to draw and discard.
Yeah, he discarded Arid Mesa to draw a card. Yeah, the Static Prison, it's kind of surprising to see Stubborn Denial because the Boros Energy deck doesn't generally have that many highly impactful non-creatures, but obviously did its thing there. Wow, this is about one of the best draws you can hope for as Wojciech. Just get 2 fresh cards off the Seasoned Pyromancer.
2 cards off the top.
Although now you're gonna... Yeah.
I just noticed it's the second Wildcard really getting the job done here. Here's a Raider of Glory, the land that Wojciech wanted to see all along.
Earlier, yeah. But now the problem is that you do have to jump with both creatures to not die because you're at 5.
Yeah.
You have to jump the Kavwa and one of the Nakattles because of the 3/3s. So the Pyromancer was good, but would have much preferred to see that a turn earlier.
And Territorial Kavu does come down. Piotr discarding a Leyline of the Guild Pact. Piotr looking to
this
cast
is the MVP Kavu in the Leyline Binding, which is a lethal. Okay,
Wojciech extends the hand. Piotr is going to take down this match 2-1 against Wojciech. The old guard destroying the new guard of Modern. I mean, let's talk about that match. That was wild.
Yeah, wild. Like Wild Nakatal. And also Pyroclasm. Because Pyroclasm was actually kind of the star in both games, right? Both full square games. You really saw that it was able to clean up the scary beginnings of going wide from Wojciech and just putting a complete stop to his momentum. Yeah, I think those were the key cards really in both game 2 and 3 was the 2 copies of Pyroclasm there. Absolutely. And then like the big creatures just outclassing the random small stuff that Wojciech had after he was kind of low or out of cards. And obviously, missing the land for the Flage was huge as well. Even if the Flage just comes into play without Arena of Glory, sits there as a 6/6, stops the Kavu, means that the game goes on for a few turns longer at least. Because Piotr has to find an answer to it. He did have the Leyline Binding. I don't know when he drew that one. Could have been a few turns later down the line. We don't know.
Absolutely. Well, that was a brilliant match.
And a brilliant judge call.
It was brilliant. I loved every second of that judge call, and it was a lot of fun to watch the players sit there while the judge call happened. But we got there in the end, and Piotr did end up taking that game down.
So
with or without
to the semis.
With or without his
Goblin Guide has another chance to win a tournament in 2025, the first time since 6 years ago or something like that. Yeah,
it's insane, right? Like, Burn, thing of the past, forget about it. Naya Burn, if you're playing Wild Nakatal, forget about it. But this zoo deck,
It's the
this
big comeback.
this zoo deck is sweet. Wild Nakado doesn't quite give you what you need to. What is ferocious? It doesn't quite give you ferocious for your stubborn denial, but it's still a 1 mana 3/3, and there's not a lot of things in this format that can really deal with it. Right,
Just a few.
a few. It feels
Okay.
pretty bad to answer all 1 mana 1/3, 1 mana 3/3 even.
Yeah.
All right, folks, that does it for the quarterfinals here. We are going to be back very shortly with our semi-finals, but until then, don't go anywhere, and we'll see you in 10 minutes.
See you shortly.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Paprykarz Modern Destination Qualifier here in Warsaw, Poland. I'm Lucifer. I'm joined by Rahul. This way. He's in this
Yes,
direction.
you got it.
I got it. Did I get it?
Yes, you did. You did get it. Very good.
Oh, I'm so proud of myself, and I hope you all are too. We have got our semi-final match here, and it's a bit of a doozy. We've got a bit of a treat for you here. We have Eldrazi Tron versus Esper Riddlegorios. It's a very interesting matchup, and we're just going to jump right into it here.
I think we saw both of these players already as well. Yeah, it's Bartek on the Eldrazi deck. Oh, all right.
Ooh, let's do that.
Okay. And no, it's a different Michał. Although maybe we did see Michał Szeszkiewicz as well. Yes, I think so.
I'm so glad I've got somebody on the stream that can pronounce these names, so I don't have to.
Yeah, the last name on Michał is good. Yeah, Wojciechowski is also, I guess, not too bad. Wojciechowski, sorry. And yes, but it will be Eldrazi against Gorios. Interesting kind of matchup, I guess. I think the Eldrazi decks probably don't like playing into the Solitude decks that much, right? Because they have this easy answer to their giant creatures, and yeah, you are banking on getting these like big impressive creatures out early before people can deal with them that well. Mm-hmm. So anyone who can easily take them out is not somebody you really want to play against with the Eldrazi, I assume. Plus, you don't have that much way of interacting with the unfair combo that the Gorios deck presents either. You have Thought-Knot Seer to look at the hand, and you do have Kozilek's Command to exile the graveyard, so there's some interaction. You're not just stone cold dead. But it is a scarier matchup because they can match you both on removal or by means of removal, and also putting a giant creature into play themselves, which the Eldrazi deck in turn will find very hard to deal with. You can't really deal with like blinked Traxa very well out of the Eldrazi deck.
Absolutely, and Bartek's deck, I think it's the only Eldrazi Tron deck in the field in this tournament. We did see Broodscale a little bit early on in the tournament, but this is a very unique style of Eldrazi deck. Just looking to make a lot of mana very early on and just overwhelm with, maybe something like an Ugin, Eye of the Storms, as early as turn 3.
Yeah, it's the classic just make some haymaker every turn approach to Magic that we've seen out of Eldrazi Tron. It's gotten a little bit of more traction recently again. It was kind of not a deck for a while, and yeah, the printing of Ugin Eye of the Storms, like you said, has given it another powerful tool, which revived it a bit. And yeah, obviously, if you get that guy out on turn 3, that is pretty powerful against almost everyone.
Absolutely. We see our players mulling over their opening hands here. Who do we think has got an advantage in this matchup? Both of the decks are looking to do pretty disgusting things, but...
Yeah, I think I would give the slight edge to the Gorios deck. Like I mentioned, it has the removal capabilities with Solitude. It has the means of matching the Eldrazi deck on board with a cheated in Atraxa. And it makes it just awkward for the Eldrazi deck to play. If you have to keep up Kozilek's Command to try and stop things coming back from the graveyard, the Gorios deck can just nickel and dime and just play a value game. And it will get to its big thing eventually. Plus, just sideboard factor is that it's a blue deck, so it will have access to Consign to Memory, right? So that also is a point in the Gorios deck's favor. So I think I would rather be on that end of the matchup. But there are tools the Eldrazi deck does have, for sure.
Absolutely. And we see Michael kick us off with a polluted Delta and a passing of the turn. Bartek is going to start off with an Eldrazi Temple and a pass of his own. Nothing early doors out here for Bartek, but Michał does have access.
Yeah. So Michał is playing this, like, it's the very common plays where you just get a Surveil land on turn 1 because it's so valuable in this deck, especially since it gives you like the outside shot of putting an Atraxa or a Griselbrand into play and then straight up going turn 2 Gorios. That's obviously the dream scenario for Michał and for that deck in general, but it's these lands are so much more powerful in these decks than they are in other decks where they're also already just very good. So
yes, sir, I'd like to draw 1 million cards, please. Thank you.
And also
try to beat this.
My free super value out of my lands.
I'm going to see what Michal, he's definitely thinking about the card that is on the top of his deck, and I do see a Goryo's Vengeance in the hand. A couple copies of Tainted Indulgence. We see Ephemerate hit the bin. I think he's already got one in hand, so putting one in the bin isn't the biggest loss for him. So we see him untap and draw for the turn. He's going to play a Flooded Strand now as a second land. Is he looking to do anything? Maybe he's looking up to hold up that Tainted Indulgence that we've seen, but no, he fetches right now. He's going to get a shock land here.
I mean, I guess this is probably something that's happening anyway. I guess we didn't maybe see the whole hand. I think, like you said, the Tainted Indulgence line is the most likely. I'm not sure what you need to play as a sorcery here. Faithless Mending as a sorcery, I guess, if that's what he wants to play.
Yeah, Faithful Mending a potential option for him.
Faithful, yeah, of course. But yeah, no, he just passes, just wants to get the fetch out of the way.
Oh, hello, here we go. We see an Urza's Mind come down and a Glaring Fleshraker. This is a very powerful card from On Horizons. And we're going to see Michal cast Tainted Indulgence in response.
I mean, I guess there's subtleties in the deck, theoretically. So, but probably don't subtlety that anyway. Fleshraker kind of a funny card, but the Eltrax actually does get binned here, and we don't know about the Goryos already, so this could be a quite quick game here if this works out the way we think. And there's the Ephemerate as well.
There we go. Yeah. I think there is an Ephemerate in hand as well, but if not, this Atraxa is probably going to find one. Atraxa is going to look at the top 10 cards from Michal's library, and he's going to get to choose one card for each card type amongst them. There will be battles among them, but there's no battles in this deck. It's just a nice little Easter egg. We see a copy of Thoughtseize. We don't see any Ephemerates, but we do see Psychic Frog, Subtlety, a couple of lands, Thoughtseize, Prismatic Ending, and maybe there is an Ephemerate there. Actually.
So it's Prismatic Ending, Thoughtseize, and the leftmost pile will be what? It's Saintly Indulgence and Faithful Mending, which apparently is an instant after all.
We do see that Michal is taking Tainted Indulgence, a Thoughtseize, taking a Subtlety as his creature. Seems like a relatively decent Atraxa trigger, all things considered, and that Atraxa does have haste.
Okay.
So it is going to cause a 14-point life swing here when it does attack. Don't think Bartek has a magical 0-mana answer to Atraxa here. Is he secretly playing white for Solitude?
Yeah, I mean, also, I guess there was no option, perhaps. I was thinking about the land left up. White does suggest that there's an Ephemerate in hand. Yeah, here he comes.
Yep, and Ephemerate is going to stop the Atraxa from exiling itself, and Michal's going to do the whole shebang again. We're going to look at the top 10 cards of his library. We're going to draw some more cards. So we're probably going to discard now at the end of the turn.
Yeah.
But Ephemerate, notably, is going to go into exile. We see Solitude as a creature here. We see another Thoughtseize, Force of Negation.
Yep.
I think that's a third Atraxa.
Yeah. Seems likely that the Solitude gets taken, right? You just have all the bases covered. You have a free way of getting rid of a creature. You have Subtlety. You have Force of Negation, so you literally can stop whatever's happening next turn. And it's not even like Bartek has something he can play next turn, which is going to be rivaling this Atraxa, because he has access to 5 mana at most if he makes an Eldrazi Temple. And then he can make a 5 mana Eldrazi spell, which is not going to compete with her.
Michal taking the Solitude, is he potentially looking to answer this Glaring Fleshraker immediately, do you think?
I doubt it. I mean, it's a 2/2, right? It just literally doesn't matter in play right now. It's good to have the free removal for later in case something more impactful comes down. Which honestly is, at this point, Sire of 7 Deaths is kind of the only thing from Bartek's side that even pretends to matter. And you have so many answers to it already. It seems like this is the nightmare for the Eldrazi deck. The Atraxa happened on turn 3, and you just don't even have relevant plays to make for 1 or 2 turns more. While this Atraxa is just going to beat you up. And this is why I think the Goryos deck has just got an edge in this matchup. This sort of thing happening is just unbeatable, really, in my eyes.
Absolutely, it looks very difficult now for Bartek to be able to take this game back. Atraxa threatening to upend everything. He's already drawn him 8 cards, Rel.
Yeah. Well, okay, I guess some of them have to go to the bin now, but it did draw him 8 cards, and also just the cards that he wants, right? Just answers to everything that can come out. You could sort of maybe say that Bartek, if Bartek had 2 Tron lands, then there's the sort of line where, okay, he draws the 3rd Tron land, makes Ugin, exiles the Atraxa. Maybe there's a game there, because the Ugin triggers, right?
Absolutely.
So it goes through the.
We do notice as well that Solitude, but we don't know of any white cards that he could have. But we do see a second Glaring Freshraker coming down here for Bartek.
Mm-hmm.
And Michal very much eyeing up that subtlety to potentially stop the Fleshraker from doing anything. And that's exactly what he does.
Yeah, at least small blessings, I guess. Bartek does still get the Eldrazi spawn from the cost.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like, I guess his Hail Mary is that he somehow gets to enough mana to play something like Ugin, to exile the Atraxa with the trigger, and then hopefully gets to play a longer game where Michał doesn't draw more threats, because Michał has a bunch of answers, but not really another threat besides the Atraxa.
Oh no, it's a Tron player's nightmare. It's a second Urza's Mine.
Yeah. Okay, but now he has access to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana.
Well, 6 mana if it's to cast an Eldrazi, so
6 mana if it's an Eldrazi. I'm thinking about the Ugin mostly.
But Michal says, no thank you, I will not be dealing with that today, and cast Force Litigation, gets that Mind Stone out of here. I mean, it feels like it's not going to get much better.
Yeah, exactly. Like it makes sense because your only worry, I think, is Ugin. I guess Ulamog to some extent, but that's even further away mana wise. Oh, there's a Gristlebrand. Okay.
Very interesting here. Gotta get a Gristlebrand. Bartek is gonna pack it in.
Yeah, he's just showing that I have another Gorios and I have a Gristlebrand, so that's just a lethal straight up, right? Because the Gristlebrand plus the Atraxa attacking, that's 14. So that was a brutal game.
Dead.
Yep, just dead. That was a very impressive showing.
Just absolutely nothing they could have done. Bartek there stumbled on his lands, didn't find Tron, which I think he really needed, and Michal just goes, "Yeah, here you go. Here's an Atraxa. I've got Ephemerate. Eat your heart out."
It does show you like Freshraker is nice in longer games, but it is kind of embarrassing into something unfair like that. Yeah, you're playing 3 mana. Okay, it's kind of 2 mana with the Eldrazi Temple, but it is not an impressive card on its own, and takes some time to do more stuff. It's the new meta reshaper, yeah. Basically.
Absolutely. It was a very disappointing card there for Bartek. Now let's talk about sideboarding as our players are sideboarding currently. What are we thinking that Michal is looking to side in this matchup against the Eldrazi deck?
Yeah, so Michal, again, it's the old mantra that it's a blue deck, so it's going to have almost certainly 4 consigned to memory. So that's going to be number 1. And then beyond that, some Stony Silences are in there. You can bring those in to stop stuff like Mind Stone, the map if it doesn't come out early. And also artifacts that Karn gets. So there's some utility to the Stony Silence. It's not super fantastic, but it is decent. But yeah, the number 1 card really is consigned to memory. That is going to be a big upgrade for him.
Absolutely. What about Bartek? Bartek having a very rough first game there, where there was basically nothing he could have done except cast some Glaring Fleshrakers and hope. What is he looking to side in against this deck? Bearing in mind, he has Khan the Great Creator in his deck, so he doesn't have very many options.
Yeah, this is exactly right, and that's also the bad news for Bartek, is that it's unlikely that the matchup gets much better for him. A lot of his sideboard is committed to Khan the Great Creator, and we saw earlier the Eldrazi deck boarding in some of the cards from his sideboard. For example, there's Disruptor Flute was in his deck, so that is something which you can use to make the Goryo's Vengeance just cost more mana and take that sort of scary combo line off the table, at least for a little while. Then you can bring in Tormod's Crypt theoretically if you feel that you need to have it in the early turns for it to be fully impactful, but that does cut off the option of getting it on the turn you play Karns potentially. So there's a trade-off there. It depends on his exact configuration. You can bring in the Stonebrain if you want for similar reasons, but there you have the difficult decision again. What you take out? You take out Goryo's Vengeance. Well, there's still kind of a good mid-range deck against you. Do you take out one of the reanimation targets? There's always the other one. Do you take out Solitude? Well, what if they do the reanimation thing? It's not great. Yeah, so probably you wouldn't see that. But that's the pickle that Bartek finds himself in. His sideboard cards are firstly not universally good, and secondly, you have this tension of do you even want to board them in because you have Karn and you might just want to have Karn to take the one that's good in that situation you face.
Absolutely. It definitely looks very interesting. We see Michal showing off his hand, not liking it very much. Look like a lot of attractors on the top and no lands. So we're going to
I think Michal was showing off that he was on the draw, right? So he had one land only. Mm-hmm. And I think he was saying because he showed Goryo's Vengeance and Atraxa. So he was like, if I have another land, I keep this because I can get to go in my end step. Sorry, don't play anything on turn one. Don't play land, anything. Just discard Atraxa and then play land, Goryo's Vengeance, Atraxa. But since he didn't have the second land guaranteed, he decided to mulligan as well. So I think he was just showing Bartek, you dodged a bullet here. I was going to turn 3 Atraxa again in some scenarios. Yeah. But as it turns out, I think they both mull to 6.
Absolutely. Both our players mulligan in this game. Now we know conventional wisdom tells us that Tron decks typically mulligan much better than other decks in Modern, as they are looking for a very specific sequence of cards. But from Michal's side, he's hoping to have a pretty solid 6 here. Mulliganing to 5 would be disastrous, whereas Bartek maybe wouldn't mind so much. We see both players keeping a hand of 6.
Bartek doesn't need a sort of critical mass of cards to be able to do things, but yeah, it's true that given that the lands are able to produce so much mana off not very many lands, that is a benefit for mulliganing. And we do see the setup for the turn 3 Tron with 2 different Tron lands on turn 2 into a Mind Stone. So this is the potential of something very powerful occurring as soon as turn 3 from the Eldrazi deck. It is also kind of true that the Goryo's deck doesn't mulligan too badly because there's lots of card selection in the deck, and also you have ways of recouping a lot of cards at once with the Goryo's combo, so it's not a terrible deck at mulliganing, I would say.
Absolutely. But it is looking very good for Bartek here. Pretty much going exactly how he wants the game to start. Having all of these... Well, he's got 2 Tron lands and he's got the Mind Stone. Michal's casting a Thoughtseize and he's going to take a look. I see Disruptor Flute, Kozilek's Command, and Thought-Knot Seer here.
Mm-hmm.
What do you
think?
Whether
that last card is a land or not does make a big difference here.
Absolutely, and unfortunately, we can't see it very well.
Yeah, but yeah.
What are we thinking?
It's interesting.
It looks like it's another Urza's Mine.
Yeah, so he has access to Thought-Knot Seer and Kozilek's Command. I think it's between those 2 cards, right? The Flute is annoying, but it doesn't matter that much. It's not going to really do much right now. You don't have the Goryo's set up anyway, so you don't really care about Goryo's being more expensive, and all the other cards, it's sort of their taking a guess. So it's not going to be that one, I don't think. If the other card is a land, it's just, do you want to give Bartek the access to the information in your hand and a threat, or the potential to ramp up to high mana and some card selection? And it turns out that Michal thinks the threat in play is more important, plus the hidden information, I suppose. And
takes Bartek draw a card turn as the second Urza's Mine comes down, and a passing of the turn for Bartek. Now we know he could be holding up Disruptor Flute or that copy of Kozilek's Command, which he can cast for 2 mana and get up to 6 mana next turn if he really wants to get those support Spawns. So Michal has got to feel like he's looking for something here.
Okay, next Survey land. I mean, this is really the power of these lands, especially in this deck, but generally is just so strong to get the selection just for free in your deck. And this deck has like 4 of them or something, so you really get to make use of that. There's a subtlety in hand, if I saw correctly, right? Maybe. It's hard to tell.
I'm not so sure, but we do see Solitude hitting the bin now on the end step as we see Michal draw for turn. I see a Psychic Frog in hand.
2
Definitely
Psychic Frogs,
not.
I think, even, yeah. I think they're both the frogs. There's 2 frogs next to each other. Oh, and it's Emperor of Bones. That's interesting. Because you can take the Thought-Knot Seer with it, and then if you adapt it, you get to like have a peek at their hand, right?
Absolutely, but we do know that Bartek has that copy of Kozilek's command here, which I believe he is. He's definitely considering deploying it.
Yeah, you imagine he would do. I mean, I guess maybe he's thinking whether he should let the Kozileks. Maybe he's thinking whether he should let the Thought-Knot Seer be exiled, so that a future Emperor of Bones can't exile it, and make use of it. I think that's probably what went on there. And now, or I guess the other option is, he goes for spawns and the draw. Yeah, so he's just leaving it in play. I guess that's the other option. Because then there's also Emrakul to consider. You kind of want the creature in the graveyard for that, so it's a bit of a wash. But it turns out he was just thought that having the mana was going to be more important to be able to deploy some of the truly impressive spells in his deck.
Absolutely, and we see him opting not to exile the Emperor of Bones here.
Yeah, exactly.
So that Thought-Knot Seer is going to go underneath it, and Michal is going to have the opportunity to potentially bring it back and take a look at Bartek's hand.
There's also the Disruptive Flute you can play to name Emperor of Bones, so that then you can't adapt it, and then the Thought-Knot Seer will not actually be able to be put into play with it. So that's also a line that's available to Bartek, so maybe he thinks that he can do that.
Instead, we see Glaring Fleshraker. We see Subtlety in hand, though, so Michal probably looking to answer it with exiling a Psychic Frog to do so.
Interesting, because I guess maybe he does have the other frog that I thought he did. Because I was thinking that he played the Emperor as sort of bait into the Kozilek's command, so that he could then play a Psychic Frog and take over the game that way.
I did see 2 Psychic Frogs in his hand, so he definitely has another.
So he does have another copy. Yeah, makes sense. Because it's kind of a good card to throw away into the subtlety on what's on the surface level, not the most impressive card here, the Fleshraker.
Bartek definitely thinking he's probably got a second one if he's so willing to exile a frog to
certainly raises suspicion. Yeah. So here comes the Disruptive Flute, like I said, to take out the adapt on the Emperor of Bones, and also I'm not done. I still have 2 mana in these spawns, or something like that. But no, he's just explaining.
Nope, we see him untapping now.
Yeah, I think he was just explaining that he was naming Emperor of Bones or something. Maybe he thought, maybe Michal thought it was the Sorcerer's Spyglass where you get to see the hand, and he was about to reveal or something. But it doesn't matter. Emperor of Bones was named pretty clearly for us, and now, well, there's not much going on from Bartek, and he has 1 card left. He doesn't have drawn. He has access to 7 mana at least, so most of his powerful plays are available. But he does seem to have to draw them still. Whereas Michal now gets to play the frog and put a serious threat into play that way.
Absolutely. So Psychic Frog looking like it's going to be a very powerful card here, and we do see it come down. Michal not having a 4th land drop, but with Psychic Frog and Emperor of Bones in play, it's looking all right until Bartek can find something. And Urza's Tower would be devastating here. I shouldn't have said anything.
Well, it's still unclear. Yeah, we don't know if there's anything big in Bartek's hand. It seemed like he was struggling for actual action.
Nonetheless, now anything.
But obviously, now literally anything will be available. Yeah.
Yeah, the world is Bartek's oyster. I see he's got 9. Well, he's got 10 mana currently. We see Glaring Fleshraker come down.
This is the match of the Glaring Fleshraker.
Thoughtseize Bug.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that Bartek would really rather there wasn't a Thoughtseize bug, and he drew anything but the Fleshraker, but alas.
I mean, hey, it's not nothing, right? I mean, it's pretty close to nothing, but
Yeah,
it
that's
isn't
the thing.
nothing.
Really, you really wanted to see a bigger card than a 3-mana 2/2 here, but you have to play what you get.
Absolutely, but Mikhail's draw himself is relatively slow here, and we see him cracking a fetch.
Yeah, but it is, well, there is a Psychic Frog in play, which is always going to make
Yeah.
him pull ahead from here. You can send it to the skies with all these useless lands in the graveyard and pick up an extra card. Plus, he still has 2 to work with. You don't really know what they are, I think. Okay, but yeah, he's actually again making use of the Surveillant now first before he's going to draw a card off the frog to make sure he gets something, or to try and get something as good as possible.
And that's pretty much exactly what Mikhail is looking for here. Psychic Frog is going to draw him a lot of cards to find something, just in case he has a big play. But this Shadowy Backstreet is going to give Mikhail a surveil. He's looking at it, and he's not entirely sure what he wants. We don't know what the card is, so we can't tell you whether or not we would want to keep it. But it looks like a card that Mikhail isn't so sure about.
We saw him bin. Yeah, I was going to say we
It's
saw
a
him bin a Solitude earlier, so probably it would, like, it's Solitude he would probably keep, but Subtlety, it's unclear how good that would be here, especially if you don't have another blue card in hand, which presumably is the case, or you're playing it here. Oh, Quantum Riddler. That's
Well,
really
hey
good
there,
here.
gorgeous. Here's a Quantum Riddler now, and I believe that's only 1 card in hand. So Mikhail is
so
going to
we
draw
draw
2
2.
cards off that Riddler,
And
and
then
he does draw an Ephemerate.
Okay. Wow, that's also really good. But even if
Quantum
not,
Riddler.
say, because you can, with Psychic Frog, the interaction is also really nice. You can just pump the frog twice, get back down to 1 card, hit them, draw another 2 cards. It's really good. The Quantum Riddler with the frog, it's a nice combination. Let's use
Absolutely. We see the frog get jumped here, but Mikhail may be thinking if he wants to attack with that Emperor of Bones as well.
Yeah. Might as well, right? I mean, you'd rather trade. You don't really care about your 2/2 at all. It's taken out by the flute, so.
Yeah. And Disruptor Flute naming it as well. It's basically a 2/2 piece of meat. Bartek looking to chump with an Eldrazi Spawn here, as we see Mikhail discard a Psychic Frog to put a counter on the other Psychic Frog.
Yeah, I think we're seeing that interaction that I mentioned at work here now. Yeah, he's using the Ephemerate to go down to 1 card on the Riddler, which means he'll draw 2 cards again as the Riddler comes into play, and then probably pitch 2 more cards to the frog to deal extra damage and also get another 2 cards.
He drew Goryo's and Atraxa.
Really likes. Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay, I guess you discard.
That's pretty disgusting.
Yeah, you can discard the Atraxa and whatever else you have in hand if you want to.
That's exactly what he does, and one of them is the Subtlety, which he definitely does not want to be exiling an Atraxa to that.
Yeah. So takes 4 damage and draws another 2 cards because we're back down to 1 card again in hand again.
Hey, folks, that was pretty gross.
A gross sequence for sure. So now Bartek, the world was Bartek's oyster, but he really does need to find something now.
What is he even looking for here? Like, he needs like an Ugin. He needs an Ugin like right now.
Yeah, but then Ugin still has the problem of the Atraxa coming back. So really, it's probably Kozilek's Command that you want, because you can exile the frog and the Atraxa from the graveyard, which is still not great because then you're still faced with a Quantum Riddler. So you actually have so many problems here.
Yeah, it's definitely looking like a bit of a problem here for Bartek. Mikhail is very much pulling ahead in this game. And we're going to see if Bartek has the tools he needs to get back into this game. But it's looking very dire for him at the moment.
It really is. Like, even something as powerful as Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger, it would take the Quantum Riddler and the frog, but not be able to do anything about the Atraxa coming back.
Absolutely.
Karn, okay. I guess Command would be good with the Fleshraker, like you say, yeah. I can't underestimate that card. Although not, it wouldn't be that good. Yeah, you don't make 15 spawns.
We do see Karn here, and it looks like he's sticking it down to 3. You're going to get something from the sideboard. What do we think you could have to answer this board?
I guess ensnaring bridge means you're not taking any more damage, right?
Probably not. Yeah,
So that's
ensnaring bridge
kind of
definitely an
nice.
option here. Maybe is he potentially looking to answer something and get something off the board rather than?
Yeah, sure. I mean, if you find another command, you're right. With the Karn, yeah, I mean, ensnaring bridge seems to be the first candidate. I think that's what he got.
Yep, that's
You
exactly
can't
what he's
really
got.
tell, yeah. Because
That
it's
is an
just
ensnaring
it
bridge.
solves all the problems at once, right? There's not really. It's hard to imagine another card that solves all three problems at once. Because you can bring back a truck that's, I guess, not a full solution because it still gets to draw a bunch of cards.
Mhm.
Especially if there's an answer to the bridge, which I guess would be prismatic ending. So that still could spell Bartek's demise here, but at least it's tough. At least it cuts down the problems a slight bit. But you're perhaps just in danger of just dying though if you don't get the bridge anyway, because just to the board of the flyers.
And I feel like the bigger problem we have here is how is Michal actually going to answer this ensnaring bridge and be able to get this damage through and kill him? He has the board presence he needs.
Yeah,
But
yeah, it's
ensnaring bridge is very much disturbing him here, as we see the ephemerate come back down, a couple of cards getting discarded here, draw a couple more cards, try to find anything to answer this ensnaring bridge, but I'm not sure he has it.
well, I mean, it's the prismatic ending. Oh, okay. I guess he has another Gorgias in hand then, if he pitches the first one.
Probably,
Because
or perhaps he doesn't value it as much anymore, given that anything he has can't attack. But I see Attractor and Force of Negation.
yeah, but Attractor is probably the best way to find prismatic ending, right? Because it digs so deep, and you can you'll get to the next land, so you're gonna have the 5 mana you need. You bring back Attractor, hopefully find a prismatic ending and there's win on the spot. I think that's kind of it is so. So this is really Michal's line here. He just wants to find a prismatic ending here and just seal the deal. I think Bartek has no cards, right?
Yep.
So
Bartek is
that
completely hellbent.
That would just seal the game right here and now if he has a prismatic ending in these top 10.
Force of Negation, land.
No prismatic ending. Just actually 7 lands.
7 lands consigned to memory and 2 Force of Negations. That is wild. That is disgusting.
That is disgusting. Although,
and not
on the other hand, yeah, okay. So now it might get slightly more interesting because Bartek now gets another shot at Karning. Or no, you can attack Karn, right? The bridge stops only you being attacked.
He can't attack either.
Or it's
all creatures. It's a symmetrical effect.
It's just but can you attack planeswalkers? Yeah, it's just no creatures can attack. Yeah.
Nope, can't attack.
Okay, so in that case, yes, he gets another stab at Karn. What happened?
I guess Michal's had enough, and we're going to a game 3. Michal definitely having outs there, but perhaps Bartek has shown him something that he's going to get, and Bartek packs it in. Or
there must be something
packs it in.
We're missing.
Definitely.
Did he even draw the card?
I don't know. I think Michal has just seen the ensnaring bridge in play and has decided that he's had enough and that he's probably not going to win the game in the long run. That glaring flesh raker, we did downplay the efficacy of that card, but very much to me, I feel like that was going to be his way to get back into this game, given that he couldn't attack.
Yeah. I mean, in the end, that's how he's going to win in the long term. I'm just surprised that he just scoops there. I wonder maybe if it's something like he boarded out all his prismatic endings and knew that he couldn't ever kill the bridge or something like this.
Yeah, that's definitely an option.
Because it's so wild to just I mean, this is the only explanation I can think of where you're like, oh, I'm just going to give up. Because I don't think there's a card that immediately kills you there.
Mm-hmm.
It just must be that he was like, oh, oops, I forgot that the bridge might be a problem.
Whoopsie
so I just don't have an answer in my deck. But then why wouldn't you do that earlier? I don't know. Interesting. Or there's something that Bartek communicated he was going to get and say that, well, you can't beat that, and Michal somehow agreed. But yeah, I mean that's one of those games. If it is the prismatic ending thing, where he just boarded them out all out, where you're actually kind of pretty favored to win, even though the lock in air quotes is assembled if you have a prismatic anywhere in your deck, because you get to churn through cards so quickly with the Quantum Riddler, because you can always do this discard before you draw thing, right? But since presumably that's what happened here, it just goes to a 0% scenario instead.
Absolutely. Clearly, Michal has seen something that we don't. But no matter, we are going to go to a game 3 here. The players are tied 1-1. Michal is going to be on the play in this match against Eldrazi Tom from Bartek's side. What do we think is going through his head and what he's looking to do in this final game?
He just wants a repeat of game 1, really. Just to do the tracks on turn 3. It's hard for the Eldrazi deck to interact with that. Bar Kozilek's command being kept up, but you can obviously then adjust your plan accordingly. But yeah, really just wants to do his unfair combo as quickly as possible before Bartek really gets to set up his mana. And we saw how that went in game 1, and that's what he wants to do again.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now.
It's crazy.
It is.
But we did see how sweet also the Quantum Riddler can be with the Frog last game. Yeah, it's just such a nice combination. You get to do so much.
Did some very powerful things, but unfortunately it doesn't beat Ensnaring Bridge.
It didn't beat Ensnaring Bridge, no.
You know, who's going to win, a Sphinx and a Big Frog or one Bridgie Boy?
Yes.
That's the burning question on everyone's mind.
It does make sense. A flying flying frog and a flying sphinx, they're going to be stopped by a bridge. That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, they can't cross the bridge. They can't do it.
No. Certainly
and
not.
It's ensnaring them.
Even in the sky.
Even in the sky. I know. It's just disgusting.
So
how is a bridge that's allowed to do that?
Yeah, I don't know. So just
can't believe it.
Good piece of architecture, I guess.
Hostile architecture.
That's hostile architecture. Definitely the definition of it.
Absolutely.
See. So Michal had Thoughtseize, Subtlety, but I guess not a quick combo because he's deliberating about whether he should keep this what I assume must be a pretty reactive hand. Bartek has not made any indication of what he's going to do. Obviously, he shouldn't reveal that either. But it seems like they both kept.
Absolutely. It looks like Michal is going to start off with something. I do see a Thoughtseize in hand. Michal is going to start us off with that Thoughtseize. So we're going to take a peek at that opening hand from Bartek.
Yeah, so his deliberation was whether he should fetch a thing or if there's a 2-drop that he wants to, or a 1-drop or 2-drop that he wants to Thoughtseize. I guess against a map, yeah?
He's got turn 3 Natural Tron.
Of course. But does he have spells?
Well, he had a Kozilek's command. Instead, he just... Oh, no, sorry,
it's 2 maps. Wrong. Okay, it's not natural, but it is turn 3 Tron.
It is turn 3 Tron. And we're going to see that Expedition map come down. What's Michal got? He top decks a Psychic Frog. I don't see a Prismatic ending in hand, but that would be a very useful way to answer this.
Yeah. Although that would only delay the inevitable because there's another map, right? But... yeah, okay, so Frog is going to be facing the mana, and it's going to really come down again, kind of like last game, to Bartek top decking. Because right now he has all mana, but he has all mana. So again, he needs to top deck his big stuff.
He has all the mana he could ever want or need, and there is absolutely nothing in his hands that can spend that much mana. But We'll see what Bartek's got up his sleeve. He has drawn a couple cards here. Ooh, very interesting. We see Eldrazi Temple come down and not one of the Tron lands.
That is very interesting.
Bartek potentially trying to signal something here?
I'm trying to understand what this could be. I mean, the only thing I can think of is Kozilek's command to be able to exile, to be able to play it for 1. But with the Frog in play, you're so incentivized to... I guess you do it this way. Basically, to stop Atraxa being put into play this turn, right? Because theoretically, Michal could go discard Atraxa and then Goryo's, And by playing this way, if you did draw another POSIX command, or at least that's what you're signaling, then you can stop the Atraxa from being put into play. So that's why he's doing it. And if you did have that, probably they don't go for that, and then you can wait until your next turn where you get to 4 mana and then exile the frog, because you didn't know there was a second one yet. And the Atraxas, you just, I guess, maybe, well, but you can cast, I guess, you can pass again with 4 mana, and the same thing repeats. So he was just signaling another Kozak's command there, at the expense, obviously, of having 7 mana this turn, which could be, depending on what he top decked,
Especially if he's drawn something like
missing
an Ugin,
out on a lot. Yeah, exactly. Like if he obviously
with a second map in hand, if he had Ugin either Storms here, you could play out the Ugin. You got 7 mana, you can 0 add 3, and then just cast the map and activate it.
Right, yeah.
And then you exile both of the Psychic Frogs, and you're in pretty good spot. But instead, we're casting a Thought-Knot Seer on turn 3.
Yeah.
And asking Michal, can I have a peek at your hand, please? And Michal is going to have something to say about it. He's going to fetch.
He's going to fetch. He's going to surveil and then pitch all his non-lands to the frogs. Potentially.
Wouldn't
if he thinks there's
me.
I mean, it can be a play depending on how bad his hand is or how useless the cards are.
Definitely an option here.
I guess
he is going to surveil.
I mean, he's gathering information for now to see whether that's something he should do, depending on what he draws next. There's definitely hand makeups where that would make sense. So he has like 2 lands or a land, Atraxa, Gorios. Then I guess you just pitch both.
I'm going to see now. Michal's going to look at the top of his deck. We don't know what it is, but he sure does. And he's going to think about whether or not he wants to keep it or put it in his graveyard. And he decides, basic planes, you're being relegated to the graveyard with you.
That is notably... And Solitude, looks like. Yeah.
He's just going to reveal 2 copies of Solitude, an Ephemerate, and a Subtlety here. Subtlety not doing very much here, but that Ephemerate, if you're Bartek, is looking quite juicy.
Yeah, difficult decision. What exactly you want to go after? You can take one of the Solitudes, hope that forces the pitch of the Ephemerate. I guess you can take the Ephemerate, but then the Solitude can still come down. I mean, the Solitude can come down one way or the other, so I guess you just take away the option of it going super badly, which is what he does by taking the Ephemerate. And I guess it looks like Michal's just going to get rid of the Thought-Knot Seer, draw himself a card, and then draw another 2 off the frogs. So yeah, the frogs are really doing work to rebuild the hand here.
You know, be really good right now. Quantum Riddler.
Yeah,
it would be pretty disgusting, right?
Yeah, it would be good.
Michal instead passes with 3 mana up, and Bartek probably going to play his Tron land and get the ball rolling here.
You would hope so for him that he goes.
Here we go. We have Tron.
Impressive.
A turn later than we all expected, but nonetheless, it is still Tron, and Bartek now has 8, well, up to 9 mana, depending on how he wants to use it. We're going to see Mindstone come down now, very much signaling that Ugin is not in the hand.
Yeah, I mean, that's really bad news. I think Bartek needed to do something highly impactful this turn. Otherwise, these frogs are just going to run away with the game with...
Ooh, okay. Now, this is impactful. We've got a Kozilek's command for X equals 5. And it's going to immediately meet a force of negation.
Yeah.
That's rough.
With the amount of cards drawn by these frogs, it just feels like Michal is going to be in good shape to answer most of the stuff 1-for-1 that Bartek's doing from now on. Like there was maybe a window of 1 turn or so.
As well. So a single draw of an Atraxa or a Gristlebrand looks very likely to seal the deal here.
Yeah. I mean, for now, I guess it's not much damage yet, but just the overwhelming card advantage is going to be hard to overcome for this Eldrazi deck, I think.
We see Mindstone get cracked here to draw a card. We're going to see what Bartek finds. We see an expedition map with the remaining mana.
No.
Here's another tower and another passive.
The expedition map magically went back to hand, probably because of the play you mentioned earlier that you want to keep it in case you draw Ugin, so you can follow it up.
Absolutely. It very much feels like the way that you get back in this game, but 2 Psychic Frogs, there's just too many cards for Bartek to really be able to do anything about it. And it looks like he's completely stumbled despite having the lands. And we see Psychic Frog discarded to Psychic Frog. I think I see a 4 Psychic Frog in the hand as well. Michal's just got all 4 of them. An embarrassment of Psychic Frogs.
Yeah, and he also has Consign, I saw, so that takes out a decent portion of the good draws of Bartek, if not all of them. Like, there's 2 cards in hand, he's not casting them, which suggests they might just be more lands. Because what else can they be that he wouldn't cast?
Well, I hate to answer this question, but is Bartek dead here?
I think he is. I'm struggling to see. This is the type of. It's always the point in time where you, if you're the player, you're like, what on earth? What sort of miracle has to happen that I'm not dead in this game?
Here's Atraxa. This is, and we do know that he has a Glorious Vengeance in hand as well.
Yeah, exactly. And even if he didn't, like, he has double subtlety, I think, and Solitude plus probably white card at this point. There was an ephemerate for sure, so at least that. So, like, a single creature can't do it. Even triggers won't help against the Consign we know about. As in, like, something like Ulamog or Ugin doesn't help against the Consign. It's really, really tough.
The door is just well and truly shut in Bartek's face here. There's basically nothing he can do.
Keeps passing, doing nothing.
He's got so much mana and absolutely nothing to do with it. He knows about the subtlety, so maybe he's worried about that. But at the end of the day, he's had this much mana for so long, and he's not even tried anything. So it's very clear that Bartek has nothing in his hand, and Michal is just overwhelming him with way too many Psychic Frogs. 2 Psychic Frogs is 2 Psychic Frogs too many.
It is, even one Psychic Frog is, like you say, is already such a beating. And such an incredible menace, but with 2 you just draw Jerry whole deck, have all the answers, and just bleed them to death with a tiny frog.
Ribbit.
You're right, there's the 4th one. Don't need these frogs no more.
Michal's just that confident that his frogs are going to survive. He's drawing 3 cards a turn. Like, how does Bartek answer that? The answer is he's not going to. He doesn't even need to Glorious Vengeance the Atraxa and go for that line, because the frogs are doing all of that and then some. He's even discarded an ephemerate. Like, Michal knows he's going to win this game.
Yeah.
And there's another tower.
And the hero of all these games, the raking Flesh Raker.
Everyone's favorite Eldrazi.
Who was the unlikely hero of last game. Is looking as embarrassing as he did in the first game here, unfortunately.
It's just nothing in the face of frogs. Who would have thought that 2 frogs would beat one Eldrazi? Here we go. Here's the Atraxa to seal the deal now. And there is a 4th Urza's Tower in hand for Bartek. And Bartek's going to extend the hand. Michal is going to take this game down 2-1 against Bartek. It's a very disappointing showing for the Eldrazi Tron deck.
Yeah, I mean, they just Bartek never got off the ground, right? He had the mana set up in both games 2 and 3, and then just didn't have the action to follow up on it. I mean, that's the risk of the Eldrazi deck, I guess. It is true that it's the classic ramp problem where you have lands that afford you a lot of mana, and you have big spells. If you have too much of one, you will not do well, and that's what unfortunately we saw from Eldrazi that match rather.
Absolutely. Now, we would normally have a finals match for all of you, but we have received the words that the finals of this tournament have indeed been split, and we do have a player that is going to the European Magic Cup.
Yes, and that player is Alan Andrzejewski, who is also one of the Polish regulars. He's at the Pro Tour regularly.
He's playing Amulet Titan.
Yeah, he was playing Amulet Titan here, and it seems that the Gorgios player perhaps couldn't attend the nationals or whatever. But yes, Alan's going to go to the tournament instead, and although we have to say that the Gorgios deck looked really, really cool, and the innovation of the Quantum Riddler I thought looked strong, especially the interaction.
It was very, very powerful.
Just so cool that you get to pump through Frog to Oblivion, churn through your deck, find more stuff, and you always get to keep one answer at least, and then just keep looking for more stuff. And also with Ephemerate, obviously, very nice.
Very much plays a similar role that it did when we saw it in the Esper Blink decks, right? It's just its natural synergy with Ephemerate as a card, being able to warp it for 2 mana, cast an Ephemerate, bring it back, draw some more cards, and also just the interaction with Psychic Frog was just so disgusting. We saw it, how utterly gross it was in that second game. Ultimately, not enough in that game for Mikhail, but Psychic Frog just being the MVP of that match.
No, definitely. I mean, Psychic Frog, an unanswered Psychic Frog is such a beating in almost any matchup, especially here. The Eldrazi deck is so removal light, and that early in the game, it doesn't really present very good blockers, especially not against a deck which has access to removal spells like Goryo's does. So it does take over the game quite quickly if you can land it early in that deck.
Absolutely. Well, that's going to do it for us here at the Paprykarz Modern Destination Qualifier in Warsaw, Poland. Congratulations to Alan, whose last name I just don't want to mess it up, folks. I'm so bad at pronouncing Polish names, and I do apologize. But congratulations to him. He's going to go to the EUL National Tournament, and also gets an invite to the European Magic Cup at the start of next year. It's so excited. I cannot wait for it, and I hope you can't wait either. But we're going to sign off now. I've been Lucifer, and I'm going to try and get this right. Raul?
Absolutely.
I think I nailed it. Nailed it.
You got it again. Insane.
I'm so
Thanks so much. Yeah, this was really cool. Cool tournament. We saw some really cool decks, some good games, and yeah, nice.
Really showcasing the modern format at its finest, right? Just such a diverse format.
Exactly all the different things that Modern has to offer, from fringes stuff like the Eldrazi Brute-Scale deck to more common stuff like Energy, and some new stuff, like I said, the Goryo's decks reappearing, the Riddler doing some work, new cards. Really cool tournament, and thanks to Paprykarz for also hosting the event as well as making the coverage possible. That was really good.
Absolutely. It was a very fun tournament. Thank you all for watching. We will be signing off, and we will see you all next time. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.